Okay. Hello, everybody. You can probably tell, I'm never actually quite sure what my voice sounds like, but you can probably tell that I am still a bit sick. And I actually am coughing quite a bit. I'm going to do my best not to cough directly into the microphone, but I've not been, as you can see, I've not been very good at doing that. So anyways, with that in mind, I did want to be consistent with Cultist Simulator. I'm almost 2 hours past when I would normally like to start, which will likely mean that this will probably be a shorter stream, but I will do my best to make it a worthwhile stream. A little bit of news on the Weather Factory side. They are hiring. I believe it's a UI position. One that I sort of feel like has been open for a while, but it wasn't maybe, I don't know, it maybe wasn't as aggressively pushed forward. I believe there's another writer opening, and then they have added their third person. I believe it's Claire is her name, but if you want to see all of these updates, you can always go to weatherfactory.biz, as these things do get brought up in the blog and such. Now, apparently there has been a lot of interest in those positions, and so the jobs closing, and I'm sure those of you who are qualified for such positions have already applied. Yeah, for those of you who have the skill and the interest for working for Weather Factory, I would encourage you to check out weatherfactory.biz and take a look at the opportunities. If you are interested in Weather Factory and all of the things that are going on and the people behind it, I encourage you to go to weatherfactory.biz. And if you would like a list of the people who have been involved in it, design, writing, and coding by Alexis Kennedy, production, marketing, and biz, Lottie Bevan, UI design and coding by Martin Nerukar, art, Catherine Unger, Clockwork Cuckoo, Lottie Bevan, and Sarah Gordon. The music that you're listening to and is available as a separate purchase for the game, or from the game, Mary Beth Solomon, Brent Barkman, Mickey Erb for Mickey Moore Productions Limited. Audio by Soundcuts, additional writing by Lottie Bevan, additional coding by Fraser McCormick, Chris Payne, and Mark Gagne, also known as Lyra Zeider. Additional design by Callan Porter, and special thanks to Sonia and PK, Matt Hosty, Haley, Urias, and literally everyone who has ever sent feedback or a bug report. I believe actually everyone on this list. Maybe, I'm not so sure about Fraser McCormick and Chris Payne. At Alexis Kennedy, at Tron Bevan, at M. Nerukar. Who was it? I'm actually going to take a minute here and find the exact Twitters for these people, because I'm following them, but I don't interact as often, so I don't get... Okay, Catherine Unger is at UNGA Pants, so Unga Pants. I believe Clockwork Cuckoo is just Clockwork Cuckoo, but... Interesting. So maybe they're not online. Nope. In this case, it is Cuckoo Clockwork. CuckooClockwork. I think Sarah Gordon is not Sarah Gordon, but let me take a look. Yep, at not Sarah Gordon, for Sarah Gordon. And then I actually don't know if the Mickey Moore production, I'm pretty sure Mary Beth Solomon is on Twitter, but I'm not 100% sure whether or not those are like, public facing, I'm talking about all the interesting projects that I'm doing accounts. So I'll let you do your own homework for the remaining ones here, but I will try and come a little more prepared for the next stream. They're really interesting people who are involved making this game. Martin has his own game Nowhere Profit, which I do encourage you to check out. It is currently on itch, will be coming to Steam, and if you buy a copy of the itch game, you will get a Steam version down the road. Sorry, there is one more thing that I need to do. Okay. Cool. I had a small dread that I did a test for the stream, and I was slightly worried that I that I made some progress on something I didn't, so I wanted to make sure that everything was together. Anyways, sorry for the slightly more sedated opening. Like I said, I am recovering, and I will do my best to put on a good show. But I always do want to take the time to give credit where credit is due for the game. It's a really interesting game. The people behind it are very active on social media. They are impossibly nice. Their talent really speaks for itself. And most importantly, there are now a whole bunch of people who are experiencing this game for the first time. One of them including Felicia Day, who I don't really know who that is, but apparently is a really influential figure in sort of nerdy / geeky circles. So that's a good thing, I think. But yeah, it was released with the new Humble Monthly that came out not too long ago. I have obviously seen a nice little boost in traffic for the sort of beginner's guide that I did. And a lot of people saying that it's like, I was about to give up on this and I found this tutorial really helped, which is exactly what I intended to do. I am, believe it or not, I feel like a bit of a hypocrite recording that video, but I mean, this is what I do, right? I do videos. My intention with that video was not to reveal anything that hadn't already been revealed by the game. But more so to draw people's attention to it and why they might want to look at it that way. And it's rewarding for two reasons. Number one, people really seem to have connected with that intention. It seems that people are sort of getting that it's not so much meant to be a walkthrough, so much as meant to be sort of a stepping stone for people who might otherwise give up on the game. It was actually something, so 20 minutes is still long for a YouTube video. But it is sort of really the only thing that I have meant to do for YouTube. So it's like, this is the intended audience, and it is a video that has done far better than anything else that I've done. So it's sort of nice to know that the effort to produce something specifically for that platform succeeded. And then, of course, the most rewarding part, which is that people are giving a game which I feel very strongly about and like very much another chance. So for some of you who might be watching this who are on the fence about whether or not you should jump back into the game again, we're pretty far into the playthrough right now, but hopefully I will have my enthusiasm despite my health issues. My enthusiasm will come through. And by the way, Tall Man Alive, I should have said hi, but it's always nice to see you here, especially for Cultist Simulator days, because I know you like that. Oh, okay. That's that is quite the. I will take a look at that video later. Anyways, let's jump into the game, and I will do my best not to. I will do my best not to die on cast. Yeah, I strongly dislike I strongly dislike the autoplay on the part of YouTube, but is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow and all of that. Okay, so because I know I'm a bit of a moron, I left these cards very helpfully beneath the verbs that I wanted to put them in. So the Maid in the Mirror is currently outside decaying, and I want to put her in the expedition as quickly as possible. I'm currently going through the spider's door. I can't remember exactly why I did that. I think it was because I thought I might be able to to go like a higher level. I actually don't even remember what aspect. I feel like heart is not the right. Was it winter? No. It's got to be an edge thing. Yeah. While I'm at it, let's just take a look and see what the other options are. That'd be a little silly if I could get away with the Grail. There's usually two. Okay, Lantern makes sense. And then I'm almost certain that Moth doesn't do anything. Cool. But yeah, so I think I was under the impression, or maybe not under the impression, but I was sort of hoping that I would not need as much edge as I actually did, and that didn't turn out so well. So I'm gonna wind up having some funky dreams. Our enemy has engineered a scandal which will roar through all of our enterprises like a forest fire. A scandal will intermittently emit notoriety until it unexpectedly dies out. Hello, Le Chauffeur. Excuse me. What else do we have? So once the dream is done, I'll heal my affliction. Usually I just use money for this because, you know, I have a pretty good job at Glover & Glover. It's actually really interesting, by the way, the fact that the Long is using scandals against me. Obviously, one, I'm already drowning in expeditions as it happens. But the fact that the Long can potentially produce scandals when I'm working at Glover & Glover definitely makes my situation less financially comfortable. I am going to be running into some problems with health, and this is because my Forlorn Blood is back, and we do have a Season of Ambitions coming up, but I have no guarantee whatsoever that Douglas will actually be... Oh. I didn't know that I wounded him. But yes, we will be, it's entirely possible that Douglas will be gobbling up the Season of Ambitions, which means I don't get my blood, and he potentially risks one of my locations. And of course, it'll be one of my very good locations, which is less than ideal, but we'll work with that. I also don't think I have a snare, so am I? Yes, we're currently tampering with records. Following that, I think I should get one of my people on a better mousetrap. Then we'll have a chat with Jannings, Adim, and maybe we'll make another commission. But let's take things one at a time. All right. Only other thing I wanted to double check. Yes, we're continuing on with our active reading habits. Also, apparently no, Rhaenyra is doing her thing. I don't know if they'll be delayed, but I think I'm just gonna sit and wait until events happen. So for now, we're just going to be waiting from what we started before. I mean, my objectives sort of remain the same. I want to gain more knowledge. I want to gain the ability to advance within the game. Still not so sure about making traps, but we'll figure that out as time goes by. Connie Lee is going to be a bit of a pain, and that's just because she is tenacious as well as mystic, so I don't have a lot of options available to me in terms of being able to get rid of her. But for now, I have a fairly effective way of dealing with evidence, so I'll live with that. I think for now, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't take too long to turn in a commission, so we'll have a chat with Dr. Adim. Alright, I feel like I need to send in a bug report on this, because none of my other games actually have this. It's kind of like my mouse is just not activate, or it's not like it's like it's sort of dropping the card halfway through. I have what the doctor requested. So 10 seconds, and then I think I'm going to have a chat with maybe like a winter follower or something like that to be able to get a snare. It's unlikely it'll work on Douglas, but filthy lies. There is so much that we're guilty of, and this is not it. Not at all, and yet it may be what damns us. I've received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let slip tantalizing information. Alright. Hopefully that went to the stack. It's my erudition. We'll add Mystique to the stack. And we should get a glimmering off of that. Okay. Let's... I think we have a chat like that, and then... Yes, create a snare to delay or defeat a rival. Rivals are cautious. They don't prowl the streets like hunters. To defeat one, we must prepare a trap and await our opportunity. Edge, Forge, Moth, or Winter are useful for creating snares. Once created, a snare can be used when an independent makes an attempt on any vault. So obviously, my my superheroes are Grail, but that's not one of the aspects that can actually be used on these things. I'm also tempted to put my Callagine in the in the expedition. I don't like losing a powerful creature like the Maid in the Mirror, but the Callagine is going to be helping me with my notoriety issues. I have finished the manuscript, so that's for Count Jannings. The other thing I can do is... No, actually, the Callagine can't be summoned this way, so it would make a lot more sense for me to add them to the expedition first. So, what do I do with work? I don't really have any... I don't really have any sort of influences to do any kind of a special spell with. So what I think I'm going to do instead, let's get some painting done. It certainly wouldn't, excuse me, certainly wouldn't hurt to get a little bit of extra money, seeing as we're less than 100. What am I ever going to do with myself? Hello, Kilgore Trout. Is this the Witness 2? This is exactly what this is. It is a little easier to understand. It's by people who are far less controversial. But I might say that it is the Myst, or dare I say the Solitaire of video games. Guys, for those of you who don't know Kilgore Trout, you can already get an idea that he is a VIP person because he has a little purple check mark beside him. And I happen to know Kilgore Trout's politics well enough to know that he considers the validation of a very large multinational corporation with a somewhat dubious history of paying taxes is one of the greatest forms of validation that he could ever receive, and that he cherishes it. But all of that sarcasm aside, there's a couple of reasons why I want to take a minute to shout him out. He is a very talented classic game streamer. He is one of these people who could not just make it a living. I believe his actual profession is music instructor, and I have to assume a musician himself, though I've not had the pleasure of hearing anything other than sort of an impromptu performance on his own stream. But Kilgore is really one of these people who communicates a great love of gaming. He plays a lot of games that originally came out at the time, that he was excited about at the time. He does a really wonderful job of sort of communicating the excitement and the interest of playing these games. That does not necessarily mean that it's a pure nostalgia run. He is actually very frank. I can remember, I think it was Daggerfall, which of course means a lot because that's the one that I'm playing. But I think there's some people who are coming in as like, yeah, and can you imagine people at the time were like blown away by these graphics. They thought it was real. And he's like, no, people didn't think this was real. And he's right. Like, the reason why classic games have this charming art style is because they worked within their constraints to make something that had a visual appeal. photoreal, just as the people in, the 1940s did not think that the world was black and white, so too did people playing those games not feel that the world was in fact pixelated. But anyways, he is not just a classic game exclusive player. He is in fact playing The Witness at the moment, which is a game I am profoundly interested in. I think it's a great choice as well, because one of the things about Jonathan Blog's games are that you can sort of see these great influences of games that really meant a lot to him. I don't think he's made it a secret that Myst was a really big game for him. And so seeing Kilgore play a game like The Witness, it's, clearly a love letter to a style of game from long past, but it's a modern developer taking that on. So it's something that I'd actually personally love to watch, but I haven't played the game myself, and I am told that it is very much a game which, if you want to experience it, you should play it on your own. So it is my failing for not getting through it earlier, so I can't share the moment with Kilgore. But I am taking the time to shout him out, and I know it's kind of become a bit of an institution here in terms of shout outs and that. I don't necessarily know if Kilgore loses anything from me not being in his chat, but I definitely lose something when I don't visit. He's a very pleasant individual. He has a great love of movies. In fact, I probably have more in common with him on movies than I do video games, because I have my tastes, but I don't, it doesn't necessarily mean that I can quite speak with the same authority about certain titles. Although when I've tried to come up with some like deep cuts that I'm thinking of, like, so, I'm Canadian and I like Canadian games, and I have, I have a few where I'm like, I wonder if he knows this one. So there's a game called Dark Legions, which I don't think people normally, like most people don't know what it is. He like didn't just have it, but like he had the box that it came in within like immediate reach. So, even my video game deep cuts, or I have not thrown anything at him yet that he's not immediately aware of, but he does have a great love of movies. My background is in film, and I still love watching movies, although I don't know as many modern ones. And just overall, a really great guy, a unique channel for sure. Very easy to see why he didn't just achieve partnership. The reason I want to make a big deal about partnership is he didn't just achieve partnership. He achieved partnership at a time when it was probably the most difficult to do so. So overall, somebody who I'm always very happy to see in the channel, and somebody who I do strongly encourage you guys to check out. So. 2,300 movie collection. I don't think I've ever been even close to that. I had to give up a lot of my DVDs when I moved to Ottawa, which was fairly sad, but that's fine. I mean, I do also have a lot of clutter. I kept my books though. Like, I love movies, but I love my books more. So, how are you finding Le Chauffeur? The glint and the wick. My enemy has salted my dreams with images, each a different facet of the promise of an hour to come. So just a quick word here. For the painting, I just put the fleeting reminiscence in here. This is really just so that I can have, something to paint, but it's also kind of nice to extend this out just in case I do gain some fascination. I know I will be getting fascination if I get some blood to drink. We've got the dreams of curios behind glass. I like this event a lot, and I've been completely asleep at the wheel. I do want to save my Callagine. 14 seconds is not long, but we will add it to the expedition and see what happens. Partnership gave you this cool check mark. Beyond that, whatever. Well, I've noticed as an affiliate, I've had a harder time getting... Actually, this is a good question for you guys. Do I have transcodes right now? Because there was a while when it didn't even matter if I had, 40 or 50 people in the channel, which is rare, admittedly, but I couldn't get transcodes for anything, which meant I actually turned down the quality of a couple of streams. So... that was actually a bit of a kick in the teeth for me, because the only reason I went for affiliate was to get transcodes. Awesome. Thank you very much, Kilgore. Okay, so I can rest that anger against Twitch for a little while. In the display case. Okay, so actually here's a question for you. This will be a good one for those of you who are fans of the who are fans of the game, does anybody know the origins of this little bit of text? That's correct. I mean, it does depend on the number of subscribers, but I believe once you get them, you can like hang on to them. So I can't make emotes though. I rely on the good work of Eyes of Sin to produce these for me, and she's definitely in high demand. So. All right, but yeah, so I'm very curious if any of the fans for the game know the origins of this text that I'm about to read. Dreams of curios behind glass. In the display cases of the Impossible Museum, I always see an apple white as snow and hard as marble, a golden beetle in a stern box, a koi geometry awaiting my touch, a black envelope bursting with spring, a brass opera box for instruments of record and measure, a storm in a tin. I always wake before the aisles end. Ah, cool. Okay. That makes me happy then. Harry Potter? No. Okay. Then I'm going to take a second. I know we've been taking a while to get started, guys. I think most of you are probably already familiar with this, but I think you guys will be very charmed by this. Let me just find the tweet from... Oh my god. I can't believe I found this on the first shot. Okay. So, it's probably better that I just show you the, you know what? I'm gonna zoom in on the monitor. Whoa! It's better. I hope you didn't see the private messages of all the nasty things I was writing about you. So, this is one of the reasons why you want to follow people like Alexis and Lottie and Claire and all of these wonderful... It's weird, by the way, to refer to them by their first names, but I'm getting over it. So, you know when people ask writers how they get their ideas, this is the text that we just read. Well, I may be drummed out of the guild for revealing this, but... The white apple. Golden beetle in the stern box. Also, there is the hand of the author of the game. Bow in reverence. I like this image a lot. This is the koi geometry awaiting his touch. Oh, I forgot this one. This was the... I gotta get the words again. A black envelope bursting with spring. Oh, crap. Sorry. I actually don't know what card that is, so I'm a little lost on that one. This is the box of instruments of record and measure. A storm in a tin. Sorry about this one. Related, I knew a guy who GM'd Shadowrun at uni. One of his NPCs was called Cotton, another Window. Third, a martial artist was Singer. But that was because this was on his table. And from what I understand, this got a few retweets with different inspiration in that. But I hope that was a useful digression. Oh, that would make sense, actually. I didn't know, like, Canadian Telecom is just a huge racket, so I don't know what other people's options are, but that would make sense. Anyways, yeah, so these are the things that you get if you follow game developers on Twitter. I thought that was a really wonderful little thread, and I don't like giving it away too much, because I sometimes think, you know, it's a fun little thing to discover, but as that tweet gets older, it's less and less likely that you'll see it, so I wanted to take a minute and share that with you guys. Oops. Alright, the medicine is dark and bitter as tar. It would be easy to suspect I am being poisoned. So again, I'm still going to have to worry about generating more sickness because of the Forlorn Blood, but I'm more interested in what happens in the Season of Ambitions. This is something like Enlightenment. Okay, excellent. So Roland, our delight, has brought up the exotic cravings. We don't need to worry about Douglas meddling with our affairs, but that does mean that I'm going to get some fascination when I drink the blood. So the Devoured Tantra. 1,000,000 blazing fires in the belly engulf what has been swallowed by the multiform mouths. So this is a delightful sacrament. So pleasant upon the ear, one could listen over and over. These are the words that make sacrifice sweet. Use this with a Byzantine tinct and a moth influence or other resources of equal power to summon a raw prophet. By the way, Kilgore, if you're still here, did you ever play Cultist Simulator? Because I know I followed in your footsteps and also interviewed a writer, but I don't know if you've ever actually played this. Okay, as far as studying is concerned, I'm probably most interested in... oops. I'm probably most interested in the edge one, just in case it gets me through the spider door. So let's start with our good old Latin. Hey, Captain Zergi. You've watched me play it, okay. And that was enough to let you know that you'll never touch it again. All right, guidance from our delight. A courier has arrived from our delight with a single vial of their most holy blood. For those of you, by the way, who've maybe seen me play this before but haven't seen me play it recently, this is the latest update for the game. I'm playing the new game plus, basically. They added a special legacy for people who have beaten sort of the default game, and this is sort of the, what happens after you ascend level, so it's really neat. All right, we've brought here with us certain sacred texts whose meaning is apparent only in moonlight. Oh, interesting. So in this case, because I've got such a high level of moth, we are deceiving the monks as opposed to killing them. That's nice of me. All right. Competent work. There's nothing to be ashamed of here. Even with 28 edge, we're still deceiving the mugs. I'm actually not quite sure what determines that, but it makes me happy because I am not a violent person. Okay, more mystique for my efforts. There must be order, so I am going to take my... Okay, I'm not going to take my time. So if you're a little curious, the reason why I opted for this notoriety when painting was just so that I could have things... Basically, I want the longest lasting one to tick down as much as possible. This is going to be hard, of course, because the long is spreading filthy lies about me. But at the very least, it kind of makes sure that, like, I don't really need to worry about something that's going away in 79 seconds. I have a minute each time one of these things ticks over. I know that in 37 seconds we'll have the Season of Despair, which means the next time that a potential season of Suspicion will be coming up will be in a minute. That means I've got 97 seconds, which, unless I'm dyslexic, this thing will be gone for. Now, of course, the challenge here is that these other ones last about 250 seconds, or 300 by default. And it only takes one to get caught. But, I can't control everything, so. Who else do we have? Vulcan2U says, I may very well pick this up on Friday, except that PoE is dropping its new expansion then, so you probably won't play it for a while. That's Path of Exile, not Pillars of Eternity, right? And Vulcan2U, I mean, this is the nice thing about being a consumer of games nowadays, which is that we're sort of spoiled for choice, and so we get an opportunity to buy things when we're ready and when we want to play them. I will definitely say, if you are a Path of Exile fan, I know that it's one that does a really good job of sort of sucking you in, and I do tend to notice that, because of the sort of pacing of the timers and that, it's worth mentioning that this game does have its origins in sort of like an idle game style. Although it wasn't apparent to me at the time. It actually took the creators to mentioning it for it to be obvious. But I mean, it's one of these ones where I think I always feel it's like, okay, I'll just put an hour in it or something like that, and all of a sudden, like the evening is gone, and I haven't gotten anything else done. So when you are ready to pick up, I have a feeling that you will be pleasantly delighted by how much you sink into it. But obviously, there's not really a rush. I mean, I'd love it if everybody went and bought 2 copies immediately, but you know, it's nice to reward yourself over time. I am not using my work tile because I'm an idiot. Sorry, like I said, I am sick, so I'm not 100% on top of things. In this case, we need a level 4 moth for our commission, and we will write on matters unknown, or when they're on sale. Absolutely. And I think that's an Octavian moat, isn't it? Velkin to you. At least it seems to be the opposite of Path of Exile: slow, methodical, and kind of relaxing. Yeah. Well, I mean, I would not. It would be wrong of me to try and suggest that that the gameplay is the same. I'm really more so referring to the sort of level of obsession and sort of attention that people get into it. It's a game that you can go really deep into. But yes, I would not recommend this as, you know, if you're looking for, you know, a Diablo style or Grim Dawn or Path of Exile style action RPG, this will probably not be it. But it's more so just in the sense that I know, like, so the thing for me is this. When I think of games like Path of Exile, I know there is sort of a culture and a style of playing those games where you want to go through the patch notes and find your best build and just kind of find a new challenge to overcome. And Cultist Simulator very much taps into that because it doesn't tell you anything about how to play it. It doesn't, like, I don't know how I'm actually going to win this. Although I do know that bad things are about to happen if, you know, if these numbers go up to 10. So I'd better be ready. But basically, with that in mind, there are a lot of very tantalizing glimpses on the world of this game, either whether they're lore or if they are certain combinations, ways of doing things in the game, the ability to do something in the first place in this game, for instance. All of that stuff is in there. So I tend to find that it's unexpected. Sometimes it seems unexpected in terms of the type of people who like this game, just because, you know, you don't normally associate. Like, I suppose, like, one might say, well, maybe a strategy gamer would like this, or maybe they wouldn't like this. And again, it sort of depends why somebody plays strategy games. And likewise, because I think, you know, Path of Exile, to me, only superficially is about clicking the individual, you know, monsters and hitting them, and a lot more of it is about sort of building a character to be able to accomplish those feats. Those are the kinds of impulses that I think line up very well with the game, so... No, I've not really done anything with the marionette. And Kilgore Trout says, you rarely get sick, but you definitely caught a couple bugs this winter. Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling that some of my illness is definitely in response to the work stuff, because it's not that great. It has mildly gotten better, and that sort of feels like it's 2 steps back. And I definitely tend to notice that there is, like, as much as I would like it not to be, there's definitely a morale factor. Like, if I kind of feel like going to work each time is a real drag, or that maybe my work isn't quite as valued as I think it should be, or, you know, whatever these things are. I don't want to litigate it too much as a, you know, a poor me thing. But I do tend to find that I'll still push myself to do the best work that I can. But I also tend to find that has a negative effect on my overall health. So I've actually wound up taking more sick days than I normally do. And it's not just like I don't want to go to work sick days. It's like I am actually incapable of performing the duties, which are not physically demanding. So, who is the Chandler? Why will I dream of her? What is the flame? And what is the fuel? My thoughts are tinder. Alright, and we've got Relentless Light. A candle when burned brings light. When my thoughts ignite, what then? So I am very curious what will happen when this works down. Alright. The sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. So here we'll finally be able to deal with my blood issues. So currently I've got forlorn blood. I have a disease. My blood is wrong. My bones are sick. I'll die. But perhaps I can preserve myself long enough with the holy blood of our delight. So we'll pick that up there. The dream of the end. I consume the little vial of blood, lie back and close my eyes. Tomorrow I will be stronger. Not only did they have Tinder back in the 1920s, Le Chauffleur, I believe that Tinder was probably used more often than it is now. Lots of events. So I think this is still my forlorn blood working here. So I've got another sickness, but I also have the course of the heart. That'll give me some vitality with which I can heal myself. And we've got an adequate snare. My follower has prepared a stratagem which, with considerable luck, might defeat a rival's plans. So again, I've not come up with a very good way of I've not come up with a good way of improving snares. That so far has eluded me. And I have some ideas, but I haven't been able to test them yet. So, I can talk with people. It is tempting to try and talk with Connie Lee to get rid of her, but I don't really have any tools available to me to do so. So in this case, let's have a chat with Count Jannings to give him his book. By then, we'll probably have Dr. Adim. No, we won't have Dr. Adim, so I'll see if maybe I can level up some people. I think we're at the end, but we'll see. Alright, I prepared the text for study, so my Latin is coming useful. The Book of True Blood. Cassius the Tomman reveals the deeds of the unnumbered legion, the secret army that protected Rome against the shadowless empire. The legion's legate answered directly to the hour called the Tribune of Scars, and was promised immortality if he died in battle. Alright, I am much recovered. More than that, I'm sumptuous. The sclera of my eyes, the veins in my wrists are aswim with gorgeous serums. When the vitulation comes, I will be the centerpiece for our delight to prove their appetite, to enact the grail. So I did gain fascination for that. Light leaks through the cracks. My mind is brighter than it ever was. The higher I rise, the more I see. But I do also have the savorous blood. I am of the same blood as the delightful now. As long as their savor graces my veins, my disease cannot touch me. Without their blessing, I'll die. So what we'll do right now, we don't have a season of, what is it called? The fascination one, but because Fleeting Reminiscence now does get rid of fascination, the reason I painted with that was so that it would be available when I generate my fascination, and all is well. As far as the monks that we were with, they've been bamboozled. Faith is a double-edged weapon. These monks have a great talent in the matter of believing, and so they have believed our lies. And in this case, I could add another body to the expedition if I needed, but in this case, really, we're just going to be grabbing the treasures, so no need to add funds, and I don't need to add any more bodies. That would just be, I'd be housing someone. It'd be a great way of preserving a summon if I had one, but I don't, so I won't. Alright, so we've got a Season of Despair, but we shouldn't be generating any dread. If I did, I have Contentment for 12 seconds to deal with that. You know what, I think I'm running out of space. There's too many maladies. But I am curious what happens with Relentless Light. So, I've received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. Well, it was unexpected. Alright. So I don't really have that much use for these glimmerings unless I'm upgrading my my lore. But I do have a chance to talk with Madame Bichet now. And I should also be able to talk... What am I doing? I'm writing for Madame Bichet, so I will talk with Dr. Adim in 10 seconds. I don't think there's anything for me to do right now to... Well, the one thing I can actually try... I think I'm going to try talking with Douglas to see if I can hide him away. Ah! A candle when burned brings light. When my thoughts ignite, what then? So the long just gave me fascination. Which would actually be helpful with this dread, but at the moment it's a bit of a liability. So I'm going to hang out for a little bit in the... I think I will get the commission with Madame Bichet, but what I'm going to try doing here is I'm going to try and have a chat with Douglas. And this is to see if I can maybe... I can distract him when the Season of Ambitions comes up. I haven't tried that before, so... Alright, my own heart pumps more strongly today. So this was a result of... wait, which was it? I think it was from my last healing. Anyways, this will be helpful because in 30 seconds I'll get an affliction. I can use that to heal the affliction. We've got my substantial treatise on Moth. I should still have enough. Time to be able to turn it in. I think it only takes 10 seconds to get my payment. As far as work is concerned, I should have a chat with Dr. Redeem, but I think I'll just write another commission because I am sort of running out of money, but I'm not at a pace that makes me too concerned, and that happens to time up rather nicely with being able to distract Douglas. So I'll leave the work slot open for now, and that's just to be ready for when I do my next commission. So yeah, 10 seconds, and then we'll chat with my rival. How you doing, The Exception? And he would like a commission on Lantern, which should be fairly straightforward to fulfill. We'll actually do that right now, because one of the things, it's less the case now, but I waited a while on fulfilling these different commissions, so I actually don't have as many resources as I would normally like. And it's not like a huge problem. I think I just need level 2, yeah. It's not that big of a problem for me to deal with, but you do actually need these for certain actions, like learning certain languages or repairing certain items. So I do want to try and get a bit of a stock if I can, because these are all in single digits, and if I start, if I maybe start making runs to certain parts of the Mantis, I would actually like to have a little more access to these things than I currently do. I'm going to wait for this to run down a little bit just so we can get the Season of Ambitions to come up. Now the potential drawback here is that we wind up with another vial of blood, which is not great. But I'll deal with that at the time. So, arrange a meeting on neutral ground. Are we enemies? Perhaps we don't have to be. I think I'll just throw my fascination in there. I don't think I can just put a snare in like that. Although... it's worth a try. The clouds part. The wolf despair prowls elsewhere. No dread empowers this despair. It's over for now. So sure enough, Roland did get picked up, which means that I'm going to get more blood, which I'm going to need to deal with at some point. Alright, Book of the True Blood. In the final part, Cassius confesses to being a former legate. He recounts his terror of the Tribune and divulges the secret lore of the Golden General, the champion of the Shadowless Empire, the enemy of the Tribune, in hopes that the Tribune will one day be undone. So this, I believe, will get us higher through the Mansis. The Lionsmith's names. The Lionsmith is young by the standards of the hours, but old by the standards of war. His names are recent recruits, and their recitation has a savage power. I'm a bit sick, The Exception, but I am bound and determined to make the most of it. So this is going to be a little bit different now. I need to time these things out rather carefully, but I do have a Season of Visions coming up. So after I do this composure, I'm going to combine the dread and the fascination together. That'll annihilate each other, and I'll still have some time to deal with the affliction. So the air is curdled now. I am home again in this lumpen flesh. Better, perhaps. So what's neat about this, and again, I've talked about this a few times, but what I like about this game most of all is that if you just want to enjoy it as a weird, if you just want to enjoy it as like a weird journey into a strange world and all the sights that are to be seen, you can completely do that. But embedded in this game, and again, it's not the idea that this game is secretly going to reveal the mysteries of life or anything like that. But, you have this concept here, right? So we've got dread. I've seen too much. A nameless gnawing fear has its teeth in my hopes. An existential horror. Dread has the aspect of edge, influence, ill health, and induces despair. And then fascination, like leaks through the cracks. My mind is brighter than it ever was. The higher I rise, the more I see. Aspect moth, it's also an influence, and ill health. So, I have an affliction, which is also ill health. Disease has left me weak. I need rest and nourishment if I am to recover. You need to take care of your mind as much as your body. And it isn't just that there's one way in which your mind can be attacked. It's possible that you go too far in terms of the ideas, and essentially the fascination I kind of take is the beautiful mind scenario. Nobody can deny John Nash's incredible gifts as a mathematician and as an economist. But he also had, great mental challenges. But then it's also true that another way that somebody can suffer in terms of ill health would be dread, would be despair. And that's probably very familiar to others. Now, in this case here, these are just influences. These are temporary passing things. But at the right time, this can be something that undoes us. And so normally when you play this game, your first reaction is, these are bad things. We can't, we must minimize these, we must do everything that we can to get rid of them. But as it turns out that in certain circumstances, things that seem like adversity can actually help us quite a bit. If you use fascination with dread, this is the indication that the game gives you. Now you can use fleeting reminiscence. But in this case, it's actually the combination of the two, that having a little bit of the darkness along with the light is something that grounds you, is able to bring you back to sort of an equilibrium. And I just really like this idea of taking things that are potential negatives in your life, and in the right circumstances, they are things that can actually help you. Obviously, this is not to say, so A Beautiful Mind would have turned out better if John Nash just got a little sad every once in a while, right? No, clearly that is not the answer. But what's really neat is when you play games like this, obviously you always have these moments of like, well, why did they make the game this way? Why did things turn out this way rather than that? And you can notice this as well. For instance, something that may not be obvious. We've got Madame Bichet. Oh, it doesn't say her. Interesting. Well, it used to say that Jannings was mortal and not. But we can take Poppy Lascelles. Aspect mortal. We've got O'Care. Aspect mortal. Leo, aspect mortal, right? These are all normal people. These are all people who you might expect to have. You expect them to be people, and there's nothing special. Now we've got Dr. Redeem. Dr. Ibn al-Adim, called the Alapine, has an interest in overlooked history. He has offered you a commission. Now notice he's a tutor, he's a patron, he's an Aramaic scholar, but he is not mortal. Now, when I've played this, Madame Bichet and Count Jannings have been mortal. Poppy is still mortal. Connie Lee is mortal. And okay, fair enough. The marionette, Our Lady of Wires, I can understand something that looks like this maybe not being mortal. But somebody who seems to be human, not actually being listed as mortal. I mean, he could be human and just not mortal. There's a really interesting implication in that, right? And the game never comes out and says it, like, you should be paying attention to this particular spot. But again, like, there are certain decisions about what's included and what isn't included in a game like this. And, there's just neat little bits of story that get revealed that way, whether it's about how you react to adversity or how you, or maybe learning something a little bit new about a particular character. And I like these features quite a bit. So those cards remind you more of bipolar aspects, mania and depression, fascination and dread. Absolutely, yeah. I really didn't do a very good job of articulating it, but I hope the idea kind of came across. We've got Sean LeBlanc. You think the other two are not just due to being on cooldown? Oh, that's a really good point, Sean. I think you're 100% right on that. Welcome, by the way. You wonder if he's this universe's Ra's al Ghul? That is correct. Alright, beneath the boughs. The space inside the altar is filled with broken cups, everyone painted red, everyone scrawled with vile graffiti and otherwise befouled. The monks have held great ceremonies of detestation and kept the remains as trophies. Buried among the cup corpses are other treasures. Now, I probably didn't read the line before. So, the monks and their miseries lie behind us. Here in their chapel courtyard, a great yew rises beside a granite altar, lidded like a sarcophagus. What is within? Alright, so Yzabet, I believe, is Moth. So we'll put her back. We've got dual-wielding maids in the mirror. Porter again. Alright, so we've got the Thirsting Tantra, which I know we can translate. We have got Against the Sisterhood of the Knot, and Against the Sisterhood of the Knot, and the Foulness of Their Depraved Customs. Hieronymus Pseudo, Hypnerotomactus wrote this furious screed about the sinister influence of the sisterhood on his own Church of the Unconquered Sun in Greek. De Oris, Book 2, in Latin, a 19th century reprint of a 14th century Latin translation of a 4th century work. I think we've already gotten the Tantra of Worms before, but the entomologist Juliana Zwitkowski eventually came to insist that this text was written by insects inhabiting a human skin. She never presented evidence for her claim. The Magus von Brandt's authentic and unique account of the true tongue of the true holy land of the Highmost, written excitably and in some haste by a gentleman in the grip of transcendentalist enthusiasm, but nevertheless a useful guide to Aramaic, which I already know. I've got rose pearl dust, so good for books, less good for some of the items that I need. I've got lethe, but I do need some of the other. Components. But I think we're just going to keep doing our translation work. Yeah, actually, I think in this case I'm gonna translate everything, and then I'll read them all in one big go. Sacre bleu. All right, lock the study door. Begins. What else do we have here? Yeah, absolutely. So the one reason, for those of you curious, like I've got a big stack of things that I want to sell. The reason I haven't done this, of course, is because I have a bunch of expeditions to do, and of course, the fact that I've got a rival now that might snap them up is a great reason why I, excuse me, I haven't been following through. But in this case, we'll go to the Unnumbered Stones. Now, what I should probably do in the grand scheme of things is actually go to places like the Unnumbered Stones last, and Foxley Meadows, because these are things that I can continue to build over and over again. They're not unique, unlike some of these other locations. But in this case here, like, I'm not too worried about Douglas, stealing these away. So for now, I think I'm going to settle for... I'm going to try and preserve the Callagine and the Hint. And we will throw some funds in. Treasure seekers visiting the stones must penetrate the forest that conceals them, grapple with the locals who revere them, and finally be prepared to do some digging, even if they can find a hidden door. So that tells me that I probably am okay with the Hint, because that'll give me edge and lantern. If not, the Callagine with its forge will help out. Moth will almost certainly help with the forest. And then the Maid in the Mirror, will give me some extra edge if it comes down to it. But we should be in generally good okay. I'd really love to learn how to play this game on my own, if that's okay. Alright, so we've got another Delightful Blood. Let's think. Normally I'd want to sell this, but of course selling that means losing my summons and not being able to explore locations. So I might be able to use this... Well, I can't use this in normally I'd use it to rank somebody up, but I think what I'll try and do here is actually use it in a ritual. So I am, but there are people who like to learn about how the game... I mean, so there are people who might like to learn the game on their own inside of chat. Now, obviously, if they're watching the game, they're sort of opening themselves up to... they're opening themselves up to possibilities. But I think just in general, like, the satisfaction of this game is learning things on their own. And I'm not entirely sure the onus should be on people to explain that they want to have things kept to themselves. Like, obviously I already have a snare here. This is mostly for preservation. But it's just one of these things that, like, if I didn't know, that's gonna be a case where I don't have something to learn myself, and to really nobody's benefit but the speakers. So I just think, especially for a game like this, it's better to err on the side of caution. But I do appreciate the apology, so... Okay, a bunch of Mystique is loaded up, or unloaded. I mean, again, the worst thing that could happen to me is not notoriety at this point. But it's nice not to have to worry about that. Also, obviously, is the right call with Fascination, but we covered that already. And I'm a little tempted to paint. I guess just because I really don't have anything better to do at the moment. So we'll paint away. Oh, what am I doing? Again, I usually like adding the low timer notoriety here, and this is as much to preserve the the rundown of the existing timers, so much as like keeping the shorter ones. But you never know, this might be a living. And in this case, I'm just doing the fleeting reminiscence again. This is mostly about the money, but guarded conversation in an early opening coffee shop in the rain-swept, shivering after dawn. I've learnt nothing. But I did get Mystique. Okay, let's get... Well, I'll turn in the commission, and then we can get some more from Madame Bichet and Lantern. Thanks for letting me know that, Tall Man Alive. I actually saw... So for those of you who are sort of interested... And this is probably just a me thing, but I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's the worst hobby in the world to have. The air is curdled now. I'm home again in this lumpen flesh. Better, perhaps. So I'll cure my affliction with that spare vitality. It saves me the one. Spares me the funds. Callum Underwood, who is sort of the scout for Raw Fury. This is a really cool job where he goes looking for new games to sign for that publisher. He did a presentation on caffeine about sort of... GDC is coming up, so that's time when a bunch of game developers all get together and talk about what sort of work they're doing. And obviously, it's a time to do business. So he put together this sort of presentation for people about how to approach publishers, how to get your game published. And I really liked it because he did it on caffeine. Caffeine doesn't actually list the number of viewers, and apparently it's because they think that there are actually other dimensions that viewers should care about. I think it's absolutely right. Like Twitch, if they want, they can rank streams based on viewers. I'm not entirely sure that you as a viewer are necessarily all that more informed that more people are watching. I mean, obviously there's the old marketing technique of sort of this social proof, but it really does feed into itself. It was a really interesting experience to watch something and not focus on that number. Vulcan counts 2. I thought it was because you had 2 in your name, but that can work as well. So, lock the study door, the work begins. to buy paints. Okay. More currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. I'm really trying to figure out what's going on with these little micro stuff. Like, so this is an example where, like, this didn't used to happen. I'm wondering if it's a me thing or if it's just happening in the game after some kind of a patch. But, yeah, here we go again where, all right. What do I want to do with my talk? I don't think you can take the avid... I don't think you can take the avid disciples any higher. But let's maybe double check that hypothesis, because I don't think I need to lock him in. So the most that I could get would be to... I think it's the gloves? Well, it's my only option. Yeah, not enough. I don't really think it's possible anyway, but I'm curious. We can get a commission from Jannings, though, and so we shall. More filthy lies. Okay, he wants edge. He almost always wants to seem edge, even though I know that's purely in my head. And then as far as talk is concerned... I mean, I suppose the thing I could wind up doing is getting... I could get Saliba to go and bring me some bodies for the spider door. I'm not entirely sure that's the best option at the moment, though, because if I lose him... Well, I mean, if I lose him, I lose him. Like, it's not like losing him in the future is any particularly... It's not really any more advantageous to me now. What I am going to do, though, instead, let's repair some of these items just because I can. Excuse me. Let's take... I think I need to chat with a Forge follower. Valsine. Oh, that's right. We lost Laidlaw to the poppy ritual, the winter one. Oops. All right. Repair a cracked... Jesus Christ. Repair a cracked Wildering mirror. We can begin to repair this, but we'll take at least a bronze Spintrea to purchase the necessary materials. Okay, well, we'll just let that run then. So I'm going to see if I can do a ritual with the Delightful Blood. Again, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I just need to get rid of it before it turns into Dread. Although, again, if it turns into Dread, there's other ways around that, so... Competent work. Alright, celebrated. Let's just... I'll dump it all in, rather than... Yeah. I'd love to have a nice organized board, but... I'm also sick, and just not in the mood. All right. Wonder if I can make something work with this. Say the icon of Saint Agnes. Oh, for God's sake. I actually probably don't need something quite that intense, but... Okay, so it's almost certainly not enough, almost certainly not enough Grail for a summoning, which was kind of my worry. So is there... I know there's some mixed... Aha! I bet this might just be enough for me to pull it off. Ah! Holy smokes, this is really bad. So just to be clear, like this is not me like fat fingering the mouse. This is like the game sort of seems to just sort of grind to a halt temporarily and then catch up. All right, and then but I don't have a very high level of knock. Well, we'll see. Christ Almighty. A little moth and knock. You can't play and watch Cultist Simulator at the same time? What legacy are you on right now? Are you on Tall Man Alive? And CMC Laugh says, one of your favorite things about this game is arranging the cards in the board layer. Love how they snap into place. Yeah, if you want you may have already know this, but if you want increasing levels of precision, so originally there was no snap feature. So, you know, I can make everyone go a little nuts by doing something like this. But if maybe that if that doesn't quite work for you, but maybe one card is a little too strict for your tastes, you can actually get a little more granular by you can go for the good old quarter card. But one is usually enough for me. You purge your saves, you're back to the start, you're back to an aspirant. That's cool. I hope you have a good one. What do you know what kind of an ending you're looking for, or will you just go as the muse moves you? All right, have a good one, The Exception. Thanks for hanging out. Okay, so it's pretty unlikely, I think, that I'm going to be able to pull this off. I'll just see if there's anything else that I can give up. Well, this is probably already a non-starter because of the influence. So, and I don't remember. I don't think any of these other ones. I think these ones actually want like people. You can sort of tell from the. You can sort of tell from all the different, like the different icons. So, if I'm going to get anything, it would be from. It would be from this God damn it. Well, actually, let's just double check that. So let's say for the sake of the argument, we added a knock. Oh, Cinnabar is definitely not going to help. Yeah, I'm not going to bring... I'm going to bring Azim through the Delightful Blood and the... and a amulet. Yeah, that's not happening. Okay, this actually gives me a little bit of a dilemma. I should probably try and find some influence to dump this out with. Or I just take the dread and, you know, and live with it. But you want to 100% the game one day, so you want all of them, but the Ascension ending would be nice. You're kind of a completionist when you can. Yeah, I would. That's something I'd like to do myself. I don't know if I really want to do that on stream, though, because obviously when I go on a digression like this, that would take me an unusually long time. And it would be worth it, but holy smokes. Okay, this is definitely on me that this is closing, but this will have to do. But yeah, like one of the things I'd kind of like to do just on my own time as an excuse to you know, carry on with the... Should probably add some money before I go any further. Oh, that's interesting. I apparently just went totally mad, automatically just threw the Maids of the Mirror in without considering the consequences. I should actually probably add, you know, I should probably add the aspects that I need. So Elizabeth's now helping us through the wood. We've got another fleeting reminiscence. I've got more notoriety, which is kind of to be expected. Again, at this point, I'm just going to translate as many things as I can, and then we'll burn through the books as quickly as we can. And let's try and get a new level in the spider door. Glass garden, approaching the peacock's door. The light of the divided sun penetrates my dream, but not long enough for the long-dead frost blossoms of the glass garden. Each step I take crushes another plant to powder. This is as it must be. I will choose my steps carefully, as the lore prescribes. Okay, so there's the Spintrea that we were looking to use. There's notoriety, because the long is a jerk. Silence at last. The public is fickle. Fortunately, they are forgetting us. So now, of course, I don't want the despair to emerge, but that's more under my control. This will be away by the time that the delightful blood comes back, so... And I'll also be getting some contentment before too long, so this might actually work out to my favor. Relentless light, the candle, when burned, brings light. When my thoughts ignite, what then? So that'll translate into some more fascination, so I don't actually need to worry about the contentment. I'll just annihilate the fascination with the fascination here from the dread here. Alright, manuscript done. This is a rather timely acquisition. And just in time before I do that, let's get Madame Bichet to get me a new commission. I think we'll just leave that work slot open so that I can pick up another one right away. I also probably have I have enough lore for some of these to be able to get a fancy new the Wolf Despair prowls elsewhere. No dread employs this excuse me. Despair, it's over for now. I probably have enough lore to be doing some other paintings as well. Okay, Madame Bichet would like a commission on Forge. I think we can accommodate. Still not sure what I want to do with this contentment right now, to be honest. Oh boy. And again, the main reason here, I'm going to wind up using this mirror before too long, but I mostly just want to stock up on my currency. Let's try and impose order again. Thirsting Tantra is ready. This we can translate. This we can translate. Yes. Although I maybe don't need to. I'm going to put this up here. Right, more currency. And I'll snap up another commission when I can. Okay, the expedition continues. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I can send another follower. So I'll probably need to bring another lantern follower in, but for the time being, I am going to add more funding, just because I know I have 2 more challenges ahead. Oh, a dart in the dark. In times long past, the Triangulari, the dartsmen, were employed to hunt immortals and their chattels. The Traussant Company is generally supposed to have extirpated them after the First Worm War, but perhaps not in every history. The Dartsman might destroy you or a follower. Uncover him with Heart and Lantern followers while they're preparing, or defend with Edge and Forge. Edge, Forge, or Winter followers once they begin their assault. Unsuccessful defenders will die. The Dartsman is not protected against summonings. Interesting. Alright, so let's do what we can. Dorothy, please find them. Let's translate the High Mysteries, the innermost chamber of the Church Solar, secret rites held in the Church of the Unconquered Sun, which held power in at least 2 histories. I should have read that text. I'm sorry for doing that a little more quickly than I was planning. The Peacock Door, proud and shining amethyst, its glow tinting the snow-pale shapes of the glass garden. This is the highest point where mortals may penetrate the mansus. No crack mars its surface. This is not a door that opens, although it is said it may bleed light. And so we found all of our way through the mansus now, which makes me happy. I don't think... Yeah, I need to worry about dread. What are we looking at in the next little while? So I'm going to get sick. Let's go for it. In my dreams, I know the path through the glass garden to the Peacock's Door, the most admirable of doors, the door which shines like a mirror. Perhaps with the right resources, I can pass it. So in this case, it wants... the Peacock Door does not open exactly. Now, I remember there was something that sort of tipped me off in terms of what I needed to do to do it. But in this case, I'm just bringing it in. So the Peacock's Door reflects the mirror I held in my sleep, and the mirror reflects the Peacock's Door. Already a sensuous shiver ripples its surface. It aches for fracture, and when it finds that satisfaction, I will enter. I think there's a book that talks about how to get through the Peacock Door, but obviously I'm relying on the fact that I sort of know how these things work. Okay, yeah, I think I'm just gonna let this all run down. So I'll let this dread turn into fascination. I should be talking with someone. Oh no, I shouldn't, because I don't have the commission done. Against the Watchers, a powerful deception. Look closer, closer still, closer. Keep looking closer. Now close your eyes. I think I'll just add the money, and then we'll see what comes up. Okay, so I can turn in with, I believe that was Madame Bichet. Now, what do I want to do for work? I'd kind of like to do some rituals, but I don't have any aspects to really work with right now, and I don't want to give up anything, so I'm gonna sit back. I think what I will wind up doing is... Alright, notoriety's coming up. I think how I'm going to handle this is I'll hang out here for a little bit. There should be another... Oh, hang on. No, I've already got my commission. Sorry. That's where I was getting confused. Excuse me. It's maybe useful for a commission. So wait for this to decay. Once I can, I'll use Dream to double these up and annihilate each other. Then we'll take care of the sickness. Alright, I've received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So, again, the erudition won't really come into use until... Excuse me. Won't really come into play until I want to start upgrading lore again. This is one of the reasons why I stack up all of my reading. Is because sometimes they'll give you... I mean, if you're lucky, it'll be erudition. If you're unlucky, it'll be like dread or something like that. But I try to sort of stack these things up a little bit just so I can take advantage of some of the things that emerge. Sometimes it hurts me, but I think it tends to benefit more than anything. But as far as talk is concerned, well, I guess one thing I can do in the meantime is we'll get Tristan to make another snare. Okay, so Rainier is back. Fortunately, they haven't upgraded, so I'm lucky there. We've got a new translation. All right. Magic. All right. So if I want, I can pick up a free unresolved ambiguity, which is mighty tempting. And I think I'm gonna, you know what? I can use my existing paper. The spider door, I'm really bad at figuring out any kinds of patterns. I really feel like there aren't, but it's probably just I haven't been clever enough to pick them up. Ooh, okay. Set that pen away. I do have a writing instrument. So, So Worm Museum seems like the sort of place that will always have bad things. Let's go to the Red Church. Well, that's nice. We got a Vagabond's map. The Vagabond is the 1 hour who can never enter the Mansis, but she goes everywhere else. And, if you believe her boast, she's the only one who knows all the histories. Sometimes she lets someone record her travels. Exploring with this scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations in the lone and level sands far from here. Okay, so... just taking a moment to write down these notes, so... I saw the Red Church again last night, with its pews of bone, the stained glass and shades of ruby, of a golden altar that beats like a heart. That night, the names of the Grail gathered to speak of the long who'd sworn off the pleasures of the bedchamber, say between man and man or woman and woman. They still paid the tribute of delight, an Ivory said. They do not bear fruit, a Lovely said. If Forge and Sun had only joined, Thirsty lamented. Then they fell to gossiping of the hour of the House of Leith and their deeds in the desert. I remember it still. Okay, I think this is the next level. Yeah, 10 to 12. So, life is good. I don't think I'll have this repaired in time, so I think I'll save the exploration for the time being. I'll need to heal up anyway. And I mean, I really don't have enough lantern or knock to... I might as well add. For some reason, I just really like Pope Clifton. Okay. Oh, you know what? That was dumb of me. I was going to get rid of my fascination and dread first. So I kind of wasted some time on that affliction, but that's fine. I'm going to blame my real affliction. Or my IRL affliction. Okay. It'll give me something to do with the talk verb. And that'll be all that I do with the talk verb. As far as work is concerned, I can always paint. But I'm not going to. I actually want this notoriety to run down. We'll almost certainly find this hidden door. Excuse me. Traguleri strike from stealth. They don't thrive in daylight. This one has fled. For good, our enemy will take note. Alright, increased might. Our immortal enemy is taking us more seriously and has brought more resources to bear. So, I believe that will bring them up to 9 strength. Yep, they don't use the size of Starlight that often, so... Okay, Morphe Codec, in which Priestess of the Sisterhood of the Knot claims to have discerned the true meaning of the Thunderskin's birth. I actually really like reading the text to this one, so hopefully we'll get to it before the end of the stream. And then these ones are... Actually, you know what? Because I only need 2 levels now. These ones I currently can't translate. One of the things I was kind of hoping for was to get the language, but... Oh, what am I doing? I should have brought that in. So it's intrigue. In that case, we'll put Saliba on the job, and we will upgrade Rhaenyra when I can. And again, I always keep getting adequate snares. I'm assuming it's either a level thing or it's the level of location. And I'm not sure which, or if indeed any of them apply. But we'll figure it out at some point. Okay, moving along. Let's turn on our commission first. I do need to figure out what I want to do with my work tile, actually. So one of the big things I want to do here is just let this all run out, because I'm in a very rare spot where this, like, all this stuff might go up in smoke in time for me to be able to starve the detective. I don't actually think it'll happen, but there's like an outside chance that that might turn out that way, so... And then I make a new mystique to ruin it. Okay, I'll talk to Jannings first, because it only costs 10 seconds and I'll be able to make a commission. It looks like Bichet will become available fairly soon too. I don't know why I'm not trying to heal myself. So this will keep me going with the work verb. And then following that, I will upgrade Rhaenyra. Okay, treasures lie before us. Faint lines in the stone, a surface that yields to pressure. We found it. The hidden door moves with a grating shudder and a shower of dust. Excuse me. Of course, just in time for more contributions to my library, so in this case we'll just start reading these right away. The Tantra explains various less than practical countermeasures against the worms. The serpents, which are not serpents, Moth and Winter are closest to them, and so understand their weaknesses, but both have their own perils. The Lionsmith crushes them, but that's not recommended for mortals. Bichet would like a very substantial Grail commission. I think we can do that. How do these doors work? Is it that you call to particular eldritch stuff? Are you referring... I'm assuming you're talking about, like, the wood, the white door, the stag door, the spider door, and the peacock door? They all... I'll give you a slightly more comprehensive answer to this the next time I'm in the Mansus, Captain Zerge, but you're generally right. That these things have associations with certain aspects. So, of course, we have different lore. You know, Moth, Lantern, Forge, Grail, Knock. Heart, Winter, Edge, and the Secret Histories are all sort of, it's kind of like a prism. You know, they're different ways through which you view that which is just beneath the skin of the world. So, and each of these areas have certain associations with them. They're usually not contained inside here. So this is the really neat thing about this game. So all that we know about the wood is I've learnt the path to the wood, the tangled darkness that grows around the walls of the mansis, though the mansis has no walls. I can dream with this to return to the wood. Now, there are a lot of associations in this game between woods and the aspect of moth, or woods and hair, particularly the cutting of hair. If I take a look at my moth followers, oh, actually, you know what? I think I've upgraded them enough that I'm not able to explain who these people are really. Excuse me. But yeah, essentially, this game kind of keeps making certain associations, and they keep coming up over and over again. So it's not just that you learn about how to sort of ascend through the mansis in terms of how these particular bits of lore were, or how these interact with particular bits of lore. They actually help you understand other things during your expeditions. A great example of this is that there is an encounter that you have. Now, most physical encounters you're able to overcome through the use of force. So in this case, that's the aspect of edge. But what's particularly interesting is that you can actually, there's other way, basically every encounter that you have that can be solved through violence has another way of solving it. And one of the really interesting ones is it says, if we find, so like something related to the mother of ants, it may recognize it and let it pass. So if you just do what I sometimes do, because I've read these so many times, like, I give it a quick once over and then I don't actually read the contents, you wouldn't necessarily know what aspect the mother of ants is associated with. So it's kind of neat because, again, the game, it's not just that they randomly choose certain aspects to unlock certain parts. It never directly tells you, like in this case, I got through the spider door through Edge. At no point does it ever say, you need to use this thing to go through the spider door. But through through being able to read and sort of fill in the blanks amongst all the other books that you've read, that's usually what helps you progress. You can always brute force your way through the puzzles, but it's not a very satisfying way of playing, and there's obviously a lot of variety in the game, so it's, that you'll be waiting a long time for that. So I'll also show you a little more detail about how the mansis works. So take you get it from trial and error and deduction. Well, yeah, deduction is probably the better way of doing it than trial and error. Trial and error can sometimes be very frustrating, and I think, having played the game in the alpha and playing it now, I feel like a lot of the design decisions were specifically to minimize the trial and error, which makes sense, right? Like, nobody really wants to play a trial and error game. Well, sorry, okay, that's not true. Like, brute force is what I mean by trial and error. Like, if you want, in this one I was mostly curious, but you did see me like take the edge, and I'm like, okay, I wonder what happens with these other ones here. So you absolutely can play that way. It's just not very interesting in my opinion. Got a bit lucky on that. So this notoriety is going to decay, but I'm not so convinced that we're going to hold off the notoriety. I wonder, maybe I'll have a work available? The moonlight bleaches the grass to winter. All around the stones loom. Here in the tumulus side beneath the turf is a stone that will rise like a trapdoor. We must put our backs into it. Right, so I got my health back, course of the heart, but that won't really come into play that much. I might want to occupy Douglas. I got 43 seconds, so that'll give me enough time to upgrade Rhaenyra. Attempt to exalt a disciple to a Cyprian. Rhaenyra commands admiration wherever she goes. She reserves her attentions for those who merit admiration in return. Only a rare few, those most suited to service in our mysteries, may achieve this rank. Oop, and we can go back. Oh, I didn't upgrade the mirror, so I can't go into Dream. That was a bit of a blunder on my part. So in 9 seconds, I do have enough time to be able to... Well, you know, really won't make that big of a difference, but... I don't think there's a way I can actually paint myself out of the notoriety problem. So it's maybe better that I just take my lumps. Okay, Clifton, you go back. Notoriety, you go away. Apparently I put too much in for funds. This is a case where I really do want to keep the Callagine. And we've got the Byzantine tanked. Now, I can't remember. I don't think that was one of the things that I needed. No. So that's just going to help me with a knock painting, if I decide to make one. Lots of rose pearl dust, and oh, I don't think I've gotten one of these before. I should be reading this anyway. Pearls are sacred to the witch and sister, especially those of this color. They have been used in protective rites, among others. So I'll give you an example here, Captain Zerga, just because it's going to be taking me a little while to go through the peacock door. What's something that we just learned about the witch and sister from that particular item? Labitic grains. Labites are the youngest of the Lionsmith service, which are rendered to powder. They retain their potency, but not their beauty. Okay. We'll go through our higher level expeditions. So the real trick here, I want to keep the Callagine, but I want to keep them so that I can get rid of the notoriety. So let's... The Kuznetsov endowment. Prince Kuznetsov gave 1/4 of his part of a blood-soaked fortune to the establishment of a department for eschatology at the provincial university. The staff have grown peculiar now, and the buildings fester in a freezing swamp. But some of Kuznetsov's bequest, perhaps, was spent on treasures. The journey to the endowment buildings is not long, but the ground is difficult. We have sent 3 times for permission to visit and received a less than friendly answer each time. No doubt the staff will attempt to forbid our entry. Alright, I think I'm just going to have to accept that I'm going to lose this guy. I have other people who can deal with... those troubles. Alright. The worms have always been eager to inhabit us. Here are the practices that make us inhospitable to them. They are diagrams. The diagrams are not good to look upon, and none of these practices they depict would allow the subject to survive. We've got an operation of the declining sun. This invokes, acknowledges, and welcomes the passage to silence. I think this was Jannings. Yeah, Jannings asks for edge. Okay, I just want to take a minute to think. Well, definitely reading books. A disquisition of the many varieties of thirst, their uses, and their effects. C.G. Burial, the Temperance Campaigner, published elements of this pamphlet which had to be withdrawn and destroyed after it became too popular. So if I work... Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be a little cheesy. I want to see how well... I actually want to see how well a sort of a detective can be delayed this way. I'm guessing not very. Oh, that's reason. Excuse me. This Rising Heat actually probably would have been decent to... Well, no, I don't think I would have been able to summon anything with that now that I think of it. Okay. I guess I can go through the stag door in the meantime. So we'll throw some reason into that. The stag door is the adept's gate. To pass it is to be initiated into the first true mystery of the House of the Sun. The head, Giraby, weeps to see me enter where it cannot, but it must let me pass. The scarred valves of the door grind open. So you'll notice here, Captain Zergi, that in this case I didn't actually need to use lore, because I am just simply going through a place that I already know, I sort of already know the path to, whereas finding new parts of the Mansis is sort of another matter. So here I'm going to add the Maid in the Mirror right away. So the edge will help with the Watchers. Definitely need Forge or Lantern for the treacherous ground. I have a feeling Lantern will be good. 1, because I already have the hint, but 2, also because of the hidden door. Hidden doors can be found with Lantern or Knock. So in this case, adding Pope Clifton, Cat Caro, or Slee is probably the right call here. Is the music distorted right now? Not for me, but is it for somebody? Let me just take a quick second here. I'm going to turn the music down to 0, and I'm going to hear what it sounds like on the stream, even though I really hate hearing the sound of my voice. Even though I really hate hearing this. Oh, I already muted it. Oh, I already muted it. Oh, I already muted it. What I'm hearing, Sean, is it sounds consistent with the game, but if any of you guys could let me know if it's going bonkers, it'd be nice if this was not completely offensive to one's ears. Okay, so I got lucky. It turns out that Roland is giving us the blood anyway. I didn't need to bamboozle Douglas. And that's especially good because I completely failed to time that out properly. I think it's within the game, not the stream. Sounds sporadic. Okay. I'm just wondering too if it's a broadcast thing for me, because like obviously the way that OBS is set up, it's going to record my mic on one track, but the game's going to be on a different track. So I was just thinking if there's some setting in OBS that's messing around with it. Right, by the copper and the crow, by Sheem, she for whom we hunger, and she who hungers for us. I pledge myself to be the feaster and the feast. I will be devoured, and I will devour. So, stained glove. The Anthic elaboration. Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra receives tokens from admirers almost daily. Some gifts are flowers, other poetry. Sometimes she receives jewels. Sometimes desperate gifts wrapped tightly in blood-stained crepe paper. Could be part of the songs too. They're all ever so slightly discordant. Yeah, that's a the thing is, like, it's not just that I play this game a lot. I actually have the soundtrack on my phone, so I'm really used to it sounding this way. Okay, let's regroup as far as conversation topics. I can go to Adim for a new commission. I can go to Jannings for turning in. And I think I'll actually do both of those things first. Main reason being it's only 20 seconds that I lose, and then I'll get a Forged Disciple to repair the mirror. So we call upon the Watchman who illuminates. The Watchman will lend virtue to our lamps, that they will show us the perils to avoid, probably. Clifton will make that certainty. The Watchman will clear our sight so that we can almost certainly pass without error. Okay. So, speaking of Lantern, Dr. Adim would like to be illumined. I have what was requested. Hello, the Eyes of Sin. No problem. I sent you a message on Discord just to make sure that everything was okay. Because I know you said you were going to the clinic. I hope you are feeling better overall, and I certainly hope you're feeling better than me, but one would imply the other, so but I'm very happy to see you. And okay, so it turns out I think it was because I wound up sort of stumbling over myself so many times. Oh wait, no, hang on, this is still here, so But yeah, as it turns out, if you pause, it's actually possible to... So in this case, it's actually possible for me to avoid prosecution. Because of this. Let's be inspired by my contentment. Do I have a Discord for this channel? You know what? I actually said I was going to do that for somebody earlier. I do have a Discord. It's not a very... It's not a very active one, and I sort of bear some responsibility for that because I'm sort of I'm sort of bad at keeping things going. But if you come on. Why is it so difficult to get an invite all of a sudden? I should probably just make this a permanent link, so there you go. But yeah, if you guys do like using Discord, feel free to join the channel. Again, I only tend to use it for like big announcements. So for instance, when I do, you know, the cultist simulator, you know, I don't even think I announced the latest, I don't even think I announced the most recent Steam stream. But yeah, like basically I tend not to be very good at using it for anything other than announcements. But I would actually really enjoy having some more activity inside there. So if you guys are Discord users and you want to reach out to me, that is a great way of doing that. So yes, Vulcan has been making very good use of your emotes in chat, Eyes of Sin. For those of you who don't know, the Eyes of Sin was, first of all, the person to introduce me to Octavian's channel, as well as somebody who has produced the emotes not just for his channel, but my own. So, good on her. The Tantra describes how the satisfaction of thirsts may allow a mortal to rise into the service of thirsting power, but warns of the consequences of rejecting those rarer thirsts for common ones. A man who thirsts, O mighty one, whose mind clings to the actions of this world, will return to this world of action from that other place. So, of course, we've already got the Seas fasting. We also have the Thakic invocation, but we will now read Dehoris Volume 2. This volume deals mostly with the Lionsmith, the Tribune of Scars, and their enmity. And what else do we have? Yeah, so I'm doing a painting, which means that Connie Lee should vanish without a trace, or at the very least stop hunting me. I don't have any fascination to worry about immediately, but it will be a little inconvenient in the sense that I do need to exchange the blood for sort of health. I'm kind of curious if the fleeting reminiscence will help with that or not. Now this is a tricky one because the subtle rupture is actually rather useful for summoning. I think I'm going to take this one. So, entering the stag door. In sleep, I ran my fingers along the ridged edges of the stag door's scars. Our company it was that shattered it, Gearby says suddenly. Before the gods who were flesh, the mantis was forbidden to mortals. We were the first know. He begins again to weep his molten tears. I wish that we had not. I wish we had died in the world. I've forgotten what else he said, but I remember the shape of the fissures in the stag door, and for all of today, doors will fear my touch. Subtle rupture, geometry contorts, doors burst open, snakes boil from the earth. A 10th order influence, a gathering knot of power and peril. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. And that's exactly what I plan to do. There's actually a couple of minions I want to try and summon through this, so... Okay. Spintrea, Erudition, Misty... Oh! That's going to extend Connie Lee's stay. Oh, no it isn't, because she's looking for evidence. And Jannings is here. So I'm actually going to use the work slot for something different. Ah, now this is going to make my life more interesting, because in addition to the fascination I'm going to gain from using the delightful blood, in 30 seconds I'm going to get fascination from the long being a jerk. So, I'm still going to have a chat with Tristan about repairing the mirror. That's why I'm doing these commissions. And in dreams, I think I'm actually going to wait a little bit on dreams, because I have a few things that could emerge that may be a problem for me. Your hearty folk full of cheese, ranch, and a tolerance for the cold. I mean, this is sounding oddly Canadian. The colors of the night. Okay, so now fascination becomes a liability. A scandal. Our enemy has engineered a scandal which will roar through all our enterprises like a forest fire. The scandal will intermittently admit notoriety until it unexpectedly dies out. Just change the order a little bit. This should be expiring soon anyway. Alright. This is normally where the fleeting reminiscence would be helpful, but I think this is going to expire before I need it to. I'm safe for now. My adversary does not have enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. Okay, our expedition plans for the future. In this case, we're mud spattered and thorn scratched, but we've made it through. Next up is going to be the Watchers. I think I'll add funds. I think I needed one extra. Okay, so contentment will help me with dread, but I don't really need to worry about dread right now. I don't think I'm going to get a fleeting reminiscence for a while, so... Okay, so let's do a... I think it's right in the map's edge. Ugh. Right, there are possibilities here. If I add enough lantern, who knows what I could attract. Drat. It was an outside chance, but what am I thinking? Oh god. Okay. Do the sunset, right? Big Grail. I don't know if Valsina is going to be enough. Oh, it is! Okay, summon one of the name emanations of the Red Grail. Azim may enter only where the Grail's power is strong, and it will choose to enter only when invoked through Forge, which it is, with which it has flirted so often. And actually, with that in mind, let's... Nope, I did say I was going to keep my dreams open. Although, I'm going to do the scummiest thing in the world. Nope, that is not actually... That doesn't work. Drat. I thought I might be able to get away with that. Okay, fair enough. This will just make life a little more challenging than it otherwise would have been. The Linesmith makes monsters to defeat the Tribune, but the scars of the Tribune are each a weapon. So, another knife secret. If I want, I can use this to upgrade, and then Chiliarch's Lesson, just so I can get myself the full column. But that's obviously a lower priority. Now we will do the high mysteries of the innermost chamber of our Church Solar, secret rites of the Church of the Unconquered Sun, which held power in at least 2 histories. The Church chiefly worshipped the sun in splendor, the original undivided sun, but this text also includes devotions to its aspects as the chilly winter dawn and the departing sunset, as well as the Menascate, the sun's night self. Priests of the Church were all male, but rites also included which allowed women to cross ceremonially into manhood. Okay. More Spintrea. I'm just trying to think of an effective way for me to deal with some of the watch as well. Almost certainly we got standing. Yeah, we're okay there. Another season of suspicion. You know, I think I'm just gonna let this one carry on. I think it's time that some of my followers started earning their pay. I'm slightly curious what happens here. I have a feeling I'll just wind up making Douglas more powerful, but... Excuse me. Ooh, a rebellious spirit. Okay, my summoning is struggling against my control. I could use reason to dismiss it safely, which is always reliable, or I could try to reassert control with passion, which is not reliable. Or I could let what will happen happen. We are definitely using passion, because I do kind of want Azim. So I can't remember what they're a tutor of. Ooh, Frisian. Yeah, that'll be particularly helpful. The thing from the outside world have many weapons. We'll read the rest of that later. So Trembling Heat will, I think, let me summon a Caligine? God, I can never remember. I think it's like Winter and... I think it's Winter and Forge. I think I am going to go for this. Gearby was weeping again. I scooped up his molten tears in my cupped palm. In the dream, my skin peeled and blistered, but only in the dream. Possibility of sparks. Okay. So... It's a big risk for me to make another fascination this way, but I consume the little vial of blood, lie back, close my eyes. Tomorrow I will be stronger. I think I just lost. If I was able to access Connie Lee, I'd be able to get myself out of this pickle. But on the plus side, I do have a higher level lantern. The church's highest rites were performed in the Concursum, the chamber at the Mansus' heart where the hours were known to pass. These rites include salutations to the non-solar hours, the Grail, the Ringu, the Horned Axe, and the Thunderskin. The Concursum waits at the lantern of the Mansus. It has been called the Chamber of Ways and also the Chamber of Endings. Its intricacies are probably beyond human comprehension, but these formulae are for a first approximation. Use this in a rite with a knock tool and a thrilling air or other resources of equal power to summon a hint from behind mirrors. So... I'm going to want to try and give Connie Lee the notoriety as soon as possible. After which I want to get in a conversation with her about Winter. But I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get this done in time. So, the Morphe Codex, in which priestesses of the Sisterhood of the Knot claim to have discerned the true meaning of the Thunderskin's birth. The writer credits the Red Grail and the Ringu and the Horned Axe, the powers the Sisterhood reveres, with agreeing a final treaty between the hours of the house and the hours they displaced. The Thunderskin loved the Yu, and the Grail destroyed him as restitution for the slaying of the Horned Axe's sisters and brothers. I'm much recovered. More than that, I'm sumptuous. The sclera of my eyes, the veins in my wrists are aswim with gorgeous serums. Oops. When the vitulation comes, I will be the centerpiece for our delight, to prove their appetite, to enact the grail. You know, it's possible if I can find some use for moth. Just trying to think if there's anything that Dream can help me with in the next little bit. That's going to get me contentment, which I don't really need right now. But if I do get Dread, that will help me, so I'm going to keep my Dream open. The expedition continues. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. We can add it now, or I could send another follower. I think I'm going to wait for it to tell me that it needs funds, actually. Let's see if I can actually get out of this. Okay, so that's the death amount. Nothing's really going to save me with Dream now. Well, I mean, there's the random chance I get the like Herschel's Nightmare or something like that, but and it looks like Azim broke free, so this is just going downhill like all over the place. I hate doing this, but I'm probably going to wind up cheating my way back. I have a minute to somehow come up with a way of getting out of trouble. All right, my summoning has escaped my control, where it will wreak havoc, no doubt. So Valsine back here. Is that right? Okay. I don't think there's anything I can do about work to help me out. But I can paint. Although I still won't be able to generate enough dread fast enough. Although it does mean that I lose the trembling heat, although obviously if I die, that doesn't really count for anything, so. Hushed and elliptical conversation by lamplight with glints of truth in Gold River mud. Who knows, perhaps one day we might speak less guardedly. Okay, so that didn't get me what I needed. Now normally, what could have happened here would be I would chat with Connie Lee about Dread and chat with Connie Lee about Winter and try and get the Dread out of that. But I have a feeling what's going to happen is I'm not going to be able to get that sort of stuff fast enough. So I cheated once before, and I'm going to do it again if it allows me to preserve this playthrough. But it makes me feel dirty every time I do it. So just know I'm going to feel super bad about it. But you've all seen a Lost to Dread before, and I'm not entirely sure we benefit from seeing this go through again. The Watcher's Wall most certainly regrets standing against. Okay, we've already got that. Although, does that mean we lost? Oh, they are more cunning and numerous than we'd expected. This will be the end for... this will end in blood for us. So we lost... no one? You've never seen a lost... Damn it, Valken! I mean, I guess I could probably preserve the save file and redo it, but... Oh, you know what? If I painted about Winter, that probably would have helped. There may still be enough time for that. Okay, I will bear the scar, or the kind that will one day be photographed. Of the kind that might one day be photographed for a museum, and the neighbors will talk. Oh, how they will talk. Okay, so notoriety, and Azim is sulking. Azim will be fine eventually. I've never seen that happen. That's really funny. This sort of situation was always the highest point of friction when you were playing. The impending loss with seemingly no way to counter it. Yeah, I mean, it might just be that I don't quite understand the dread mechanics well enough, but it's the one that I've always... It's the one that I've always sort of had the biggest problem with. If my fascination goes to the stratosphere, and they did add the fleeting reminiscence, but in this case, it just so happens that the little combination of like the detective being pulled away too quickly, and then there's a couple of things I realized a little late. But in this case, you know, I have an easy answer because I know how to access the console. So, the Thunderskin entered the mantis through the peacock door, a privilege never given to the witch and sister. But then their merit was much less. The writer admits that the entry through the peacock door is that entry through the peacock door is unseemly, but insists that under the circumstances there was no other way. Okay. I'm going to leave this open on the odd chance I get access to Connie, but I likely won't. We're going to wait for painting to be available. Oh, I can still read books. Against the sister of the knot, against the sister of the hood, the sisterhood of the knot and the foulness of their depraved customs. Hieronymus Pseudo Hypnerotomachus wrote this furious screed about the sinister influence of the sisterhood on his own church of the unconquered sun. Hieronymus claims that the powers served by the Sisterhood of the Knot made an arrangement. The Thunderskin loved the ewe, and the Grail destroyed them. As restitution for the destruction of the Axe's loved ones, Hieronymus' writing becomes incoherent with rage at this point. Oh, everybody loves telling me how to play. Okay, unlikely this will work, but let's at least try it. By opium, you mean video games. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go crazy on this one. Those who know will understand, as will the Suppression Bureau. So again, I think all of this has just happened too late. In the meantime, we will still carry on with life. The medicine is dark and bitter as tar. It would be easy to suspect that I'm being poisoned. Maybe I get dread for eating bad medicine. So definitely Connie won't be available within the next 17 seconds. I am really curious what happens with the painting, though. So we'll do the Great On Oil. I mean, in the end, we're just making another painting, The Wolf Divided, but I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. Logistical difficulty. Supplies are low. Unless I send more funds, we will have to abandon the expedition, so... If memory serves, I think the last time I painted a Wolf Divided painting was the last time I kind of had like survival problems. A worthy medium. What am I doing? What have I done? This will break someone's heart. Perhaps everyone's. Ah! This is so frustrating. I actually would have gotten that dread if if I just had the presence of mind just like that fraction of a second earlier. So rather than subject you all to this experience again. My latest paintings have reviewed well. Of course, I also still have fascination, so the game giveth and the game taketh away. But let's see if I can survive after that. So that gives me another tool for the toolbox. Because I never really thought to do a painting like that before. And technically it doesn't really get me out of the woods in the way that I would normally want. This icy atmosphere is going to take a while to do its thing. But I believe I actually have a way out of the... I believe I have a way out of this this problem. So I'm seeing things. Paintings, whispers, windows wink. I know that these things are not true, but how can I be certain? You can defeat visions with dread or fleeting memory. Otherwise, you will lose yourself completely at Fascination 3. Unless I open the console. And again, I really apologize. You see the stream view is really zoomed in. I think that might be for you, Vulcan, but... I don't think this is particularly informative, but, like, this is what I see right here. So this is basically what the game looks like for me. But obviously, if it's zoomed in for you, then it's probably gonna look like that. But okay, Hieronymus recovers his composure eventually to describe how the Thunderskin. Oh, hang on, this might actually be a different book than what I was thinking. How the Thunderskin entered the mantis through the peacock door. This, Hieronymus insists, is abomination upon abomination. But then that most abominable of doors has always been an abomination. Okay. So in terms of my sources of dread, the icy atmosphere will eventually decay into dread, but that's going to take longer. So essentially what happens is this is going to go up to level 3 in 1 minute, and then I'll have another minute to get dread again. So I'm actually going to need to find a new source of dread to clear this out. Now I have an answer to that. The real question here, though, is whether or not I want to use this winter influence to deal with my problems or not. And in this particular case, I think I am, because I have other... means of dealing with my problems. So, Forge for the Smoky Spirit, summoning, winter for its binding. It must know who will rule it. Sick room glows close and stale. It is time to get up. So yeah, one of the things I'll say too, Sean, like every time that I've felt like there is a hopeless situation that I'm running into, like what we just had there, it turns out that there is a solution. It's just a matter of me finding it. So that's kind of how I was able to make my peace with it. But the thing is I'm not really convinced that that's a very good answer to somebody who's being frustrated by it. Like, I'm not entirely sure that me being in that situation of, just the slow train coming towards me to kill me, like, that still feels really bad. And as I get better through the game, I will learn ways of getting around it, sure. But I'm not sure it makes it feel any less hopeless at the moment. So it's one of these ones where I haven't come up with a really good, like, spin as to why it needs to be that way. And obviously in my own case, I never actually did my whole, like, mea culpa on this, but for those of you who haven't seen the previous playthroughs, because this is the one that we started on this Steam stream, I really don't think that there's any benefit to me. Like, I will accept a loss. I'd just like to see a loss that is related to this new DLC. So if the long kills me, we'll start a new playthrough. If I die to me not properly managing things like dread or fascination, I've already gotten this far inside of it, so I'll do little cheats around the edge. The only thing I won't do is to do a cheat to like make it a faster playthrough. All that I'm really doing is cheating to make sure that I don't have to start from square one again. So, all right, I'm certain that my adversary, excuse me, lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. So, in a perfect world, I would generate the dread, and I would be able to dream it away with fascination, and then it would turn into a fleeting reminiscence. But I don't think that will happen. So, we'll have a chat with Connie Lee about the colder invocations of the Ragged Lore. There is a power that commemorates and grieves, from whom nothing is taken, but who cannot be deceived. I will tell you that power's name. Listen to me. This might sway the hunter from their path, especially if they're already grim, but it will always increase your own dread. So this is probably one of the more reliable ways of generating dread, but one of the drawbacks that I've run into is I don't necessarily always have somebody available. So I think part of it too is the relative lack of signaling on the ones like dread or fascination. Yeah, I mean, I think the one real trick on this one was, other than me not really being able to, like, so it was sort of a last minute realization in terms of being able to do that painting. But I've also run into a couple of situations where, like, I'm not 100% sure how I could have played that differently. I'm not entirely sure I want the game to communicate, well, don't read certain books. But the final stage does a great job of, hey, you're about to lose, but because those are done in levels, it sneaks up a bit easier. Yeah, although I also think that one is probably more intentional than some of the others, because, like, a little bit like work, it's entirely possible to forget work and starve to death. And I know people constantly complain about the fact that you need to keep going back to work, but, you know, work isn't fun. You know, work is kind of drudgery, and so that one's a little bit easier to justify. So I sort of see how, like, in the same spirit as of work, I can sort of see how you maybe don't always realize, you know, severe problems are severe until, like, the last possible minute. But again, like, it's one of these ones where I'm like, to me it was painful enough, like, the cost of that was painful enough that I wanted to cheat in order to prevent it. So, you know, like I said, I can try and spin all that I want, but my actions or revealed preferences definitely communicate a lot more in that regard. Oh, you know what? I'm wasting time. Let's upgrade some Forbidden Epics. I probably won't have enough resources for that, but that's fair. You probably wouldn't really know you're spiraling into dread until it's happening. Yeah, exactly. Fate lines in the stone, a surface that yields to pressure. We found it. The hidden door moves, with a grating shudder and a shower of dust. And I mean, in fairness too, like, this one really is... So when I talk about how... I'm not really sure how I could have done things differently. Like, this is the new game plus. So, on the other hand, I'm not necessarily... Like, this thing from the very beginning has been intended to be something that provides a challenge to people who are experienced with the game. So, like, this, you know, on its own would have been my, oh, shucks, I was a real bonehead on that one. And, like, I would have started over again on its own. So... I think probably this is an example of working as intended, and it just so happens that, you know, Alexis is a big old meanie. Okay, what are some ways that I can work to stave off... Well, here's going to be an interesting idea. I don't think Watchman's Sorrow helps me here. Yeah, I need to give up lore for that. Let's say we do the map's edge again, and I offer up Moth. And then for instrument, we'll do the Icon of St. Agnes again. I don't think this is enough, though. Oh, it is! Neat! Okay, so Grail for the Raw Prophet source, and a little Moth for its Chaos addiction. I didn't think I was going to get away with that. Okay. It's a little more straightforward then. So, yes, there are terrible things in the world, but that's all the more reason to resist them. I should thank you. You've shown me what I must do. This hunter has become an idealist. So, of course, that was a fairly expensive way to gain some dread. I think in this case, letting the delightful blood decay to dread. Well, see, that's like 3 minutes, though. Do I really think I'm not going to generate fascination? Oh, and I've got a season of dread coming up. Well, actually, no, that's not bad. If anything, I don't want to generate more dread at the moment. So this actually makes a lot of sense to keep as a holding pattern. So 47 seconds, we'll watch that tick down. 1 minute, we'll have the season of dread, or of season of despair, where I don't want to generate any dread. So then that'll leave us with about a minute left to decay the delightful blood. So that works reasonably well. What I should be doing instead is taking the Callagine and getting rid of the evidence. So not everything from the Manses can speak, but everything can understand mortal speech, even once it has passed the white door. Okay, as far as dreams are concerned, I'm not so sure there's anything I can really do with dreams at the moment. I can go through the peacock door again, but I need to make sure that all my work has been taken care of. Yes, I will have work available to me after that, so... A rising power, our immortal enemy, has allies and resources in many nations. They move slowly, but as time passes, they will bring more and more of those allies and resources to bear against us. And, oh boy, okay, so now they are at level 10, which means they will come to try and kill me. We get to see what a direct attack looks like. This attack occupies even more of my attention. My efforts are paying off. Gained insight. So I mean, if that happens twice more, then we'll get a new level. A light in the skull. Whenever the principle of lantern sheds its light, I may recall additional scraps of knowledge. And there is our despair. Okay. The library ceiling collapsed years ago. Many of the books have been reduced to swollen pulp by dripping water. Something must remain. A portrait of a genially smiling man, dark skin, bright eyes, neither hair nor eyebrows, watches over the ruined library. It is titled "Don't Mind Me" and signed with an indecipherable serpentine scrawl. The paint is peeling. It watches us with its benevolent smile as we find intact treasures among the swollen books on the shelves. Okay. So, notoriety is kind of just a fact of life at this point. I remember we actually had more or less cleared the board of notoriety, but those memories are long gone. So we have The Burning Woman, a transcription of the play by Menander, the victor, possibly the dramatist of that name, in Frisian, with commentaries. On Matthias and Amethyst Imago, Pursuit. The diagrams and illustrations, even across the centuries, are elegant, hypnotic, occasionally erotic, in Aramaic. The Iron Book, a manual of the Ordo Limea, an order of quasi-immortals who manipulated the secret enclave at the source of the river Limea in the Roman province of Hispania Gallicia? I can never remember if it's Gallicia or Galatia. But the Encircling Tantra, the explorer and entrepreneur T. Everett Duplantes once attempted to plunder the temple where this text was held. His fate is recorded in the appendix. The Silver Book, the manual of the Ordo Limea, a order of quasi-immortals who maintained a secret enclave in the source of the river Limea, the Roman province of Hispania. And the Known Unknown Tantra. Carlos Garcia Sauri, the ecstatic mystic of the Pyrenees, was known to recite this in 3 languages, though he never visited the subcontinent. So, all books. We'll go to Grunwald's permanent circus. I think I'm just going to have to live with the fact that one of my summons is going to die. Although that's not terrible because that winter will decay into dread, which means I don't need to use Connie Lee to generate my last dread. And with 49 seconds, I will bypass. I'll bypass this. So, good news overall there. So yeah, Grunwald's it is. Grunwald, a tiny city of patched tents around a whitewashed farm. Hunched performers shiver in the dripping rain. Frau Grunwald has devoted her considerable fortune to the maintenance of this institution. Who knows why? The circus performers dislike trespassers behind the scenes. The circus folk will be ready to take up arms against us, and the power of the circus, we fear, may be worm-touched. Expeditions need at least 1 funds per obstacle. Followers will defeat obstacles. If you run out of funds or followers, the expedition ends. Okay. Let's see. As it happens, I should worry about the delightful blood or the maid in the mirror, not both. So maybe I'll use the winter for summoning or something like that. Did Azim decay away? I've never actually seen a sulking Azim before. But I don't see him on the board, so it makes me a little sad. It enters the world 1 limb at a time, questing like a serpent, cawing like a crow, throbbing like a vein. It will cuddle close against my leg if I let it, and afterwards I will have to dispose of my shoes. So, if the Callagine didn't do the job, the Raw Prophet would. Sometimes it divides, sometimes it unites, sometimes she speaks the words of warning, sometimes he advises on appetite. Its prophecies are confusion, their whispers confound. What do I want to do with work now? Definitely don't go to Glover and Glover. I guess I can do commissions. Or I'll be a real... Yeah. This is such a cheesy thing to do. But I'm doing it. Deep Winter's Cold to name the... Oh, this is really interesting. So if I ever wind up in another situation where I potentially lose. So this is another way I potentially could have gotten rid of Dread. I take my Maid in the Mirror. Oh, hang on. I may not necessarily have had the... Okay, yeah, I did. So I could have done this, and then I could have thrown in the Fascination. And I don't think that would have been enough to... I don't think that would have thrown off the ritual, but I could be wrong. Okay, well, I can get Fascination, or I can... let's say no to that. I think I'm gonna go back to the Red Church. This is actually the one time this would have been helpful for me, but... So I'm just taking a minute to make notes. Each of the stained glass windows of the Red Church is devoted to a distinct appetite, and the scenes they show are from life. Last night, in one of the uglier windows, I saw the appetites of a certain public figure satisfied in private. I know he won't want this information made public. Perhaps he will show me some consideration. Oh, you're all so friendly. You all definitely want to see me do well in this game. I mean, maybe I should just let it. Maybe I should just let it die, and then we'll see like the YouTube comments about whether or not I should have. I should have kept going. I don't think I'm gonna have the mirror repaired in time, so let's just do a standard ascent through. Through the stag door. This can be a little risky, but there's that, I'm gonna say that's a bug. I don't like saying things are bugs that aren't bugs, but this is definitely feeling very bug-shaped. Ah! No, now I've gone and done it. Okay. I'm kind of curious where this will pick up. That's actually a lot earlier than I thought it would be. Okay, I can still live with this. However, I do need to do a journey. Oh, that's right. Everything doesn't go back to the spot it's supposed to because I reset. Okay, so work-wise, made in the mirror with an icon of St. Agnes. What am I doing? That'll get me a new maid. I'll add the raw profit where I can, but not a high priority. That was more to get rid of the fascination rather than anything else. And I'm still gonna do the stag door. Okay, we got through that. Oh, I thought I needed another dread, but mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I am the same, if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions. It is over for now. So now this, of course, means that the delightful blood is actually a liability, but... Oh, and my minion has not returned. They have failed, and their blundering may have attracted attention. Well, I guess it's just as well that we got the raw profit, then. So, let's have a chat. Please get rid of the evidence. Yeah, so I mean, in the worst case with the evidence, we have the favor from the authority, which will last for a certain period of time. The Long is still at level 10, but it looks like they're taking a nap. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, the expedition continues. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I can send another follower. So the worms in the world, we need lantern or moth to suppress this curse. Otherwise, it will not keep us from our goal, but it may trouble us later. That's a pretty high priority one for me because I don't get multiple cracks at that. So I've already got, you know, edge for days. I don't have a lot to worry about the Watchers. But I'm going to add Pope Clifton right away. Now the drawback is that Pope Clifton might actually get hurt if the fight doesn't go well, but we'll deal with that if it emerges. Okay, another fleeting reminiscence. I'm sick. The thing that was a woman has no expression of her own. The movements of her eyes and mouth always match mine, as if I were looking into a mirror. Her fingernails are as sharp as glass. So, Maid in the Mirror is back in the team. I think we'll wait to see what we get in the Mansus before I do another work tile. I am a big fan of Pope Clifton. I actually made a Stellaris species with Pope Clifton in it. Okay, I think I can live without the Forgotten Chronicle, so let's try the Ascent of Knives. That will almost certainly not help me with Azim, so it is difficult to control oneself. Oops. The Ascent of Knives is called the Sharp Stair, and the Mother of Mirrors, and the Feast of the Grail. If one is to look beneath the stair, as I did last night in my dreams, one understands that last name. It draws a tithe of blood from the feet of those who ascend. And Pausai, some shaped like men, many shaped like women, wait beneath the glass of the stairs to satisfy their hunger. I did not approach. I made no sound. I only observed. So if I can find something to do with the urgency of appetite, so much the better, but I kind of have everything that can give me already. But I will go through the stag door again. And this is just mostly to find something to... No, that was actually not the smartest thing I could have done in that moment because I'm going to need to heal. But I'm committed now, so there you have it. I feel like I dropped a reason somewhere that it... No. Yes, we're good. Okay, so work... Do I want to do anything with work? Not until I have... Sorry, I'm just trying to think for a minute. I may regret this. Hang on. No, I can't. Although... can paint something that I really care about. This is, again, a little bit more me indulging my curiosity rather than doing optimal play. So Saliba's coming back. This will be helpful because the hint's going to give me intelligence, but obviously I don't quite know. I'd be nice if I had some options in terms of who I put in place. So my minion has returned. The evidence has been destroyed. I am a little safer. So I think before we go any further, I'm going to have a chat with Velsine about a mirror. I would eventually like to have a chat with Connie Lee about Lantern as well. So in this case, we will use a vital pigment. But I want to see the outcome of this, because I think it's possible I'll get... Oop, there's Fascination. So I wanted to see what kind of fascination I would be generating before I went too far down this road. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. This is really more just me preserving the raw profit more than anything. Okay. So I wanted to hang on to this first so I could use Dread on my fascination. The drawback, of course, is that my fleeting reminiscence kind of just expires. At least one of them expires on their own. Okay, this will give me a chance to summon Azim again, so... in sleep I ran my fingers along the ridged edges of the stag door's scars. Our company, it was that shattered it, Girby says suddenly. Before the gods who were flesh, the mantis was forbidden to mortals. We were the first no. He begins again to weep his molten tears. I wish that we had not. I wish I had died in the world. I've forgotten what else he said, but I remember the shape of the fissures in the stag door, and for all of today, doors will fear my touch. Okay. So, I have to, yeah, I'll deal with this first. I'll deal with the affliction, and I think I'll be able to go through the peacock door afterwards, but I made something unique, I've made something extraordinary, something that I will never dare exhibit publicly. This cannot possibly ever see daylight. It will earn no funds. So I do actually need to kind of keep an eye on my funding, because I was over 100 and now we're down to, you know, we're down to 78. So there is, you know, like, there is not unlimited money. But in this particular case here, I just gave myself a more powerful Grail relic. Also, it'd be nice if I could just collect them all. It's, you know, it's a good Nintendo tradition. You know, that Final Fantasy game where you go and you pick up the little animals. So the Red Grail. She did not split the sun, but here we might imagine how she must have desired it. So in this case, the thing that's nice about this is it's level 8 Grail, as opposed to level 4 Stained Gloves. So if I happen to need an instrument inside of a ritual for 8 Grail, that will do the trick. Okay, here we'll do the right of the map's edge, or we will if the game will let me pick up the item. So Big Izzy. Oh no, hang on. Wait, did I mess this up? Maybe it's the sunset right I need? Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I put like Tristan in, we summon Zim. Yeah, so Zim may enter only when the Grail's power is strong, and it will choose to enter only when invoked with the Forge, with which it is flirted so often. Now, Tristan is level 5, the Cinnabar Amulet is level 4, so I may not have... I don't remember if I need 4 or 5, but we call upon the Sun and Rags, which burns still. The Sun and Rags lends lantern light. It will almost certainly end this curse here. Alright, I've increased my knowledge of the secret histories behind the ones that we know, so I've gained another unresolved ambiguity. Obviously I can't explore these until I'm done. It does sort of make sense for me to continue on with the upgrading the Forbidden Epics if I can, because any surplus unresolved ambiguities can be upgraded to Vagabond's maps. But I have better uses for my study verb at the moment. So in this case, on Matthias and Amethyst, Imigo, Pursuit. Yeah, I think we'll just we'll do the same thing and just translate everything like before. Although I'm going to prioritize the Encircling Tantra and the Silver Book, and that's just because if you notice, my Nock lore leaves much to be desired. So... And I'm sorry the commentary isn't quite what it normally should be. I am really feeling the effects of my illness. It's possible I may call it for Friday's cast. We'll see how I feel, but if I don't... I will try to announce ahead of time, but if I don't broadcast, it's because I'm sick, and it's because I will have been sick for a week. Alright. If I get fascination... Okay, hang on. What would I be worried about getting fascination from? Because I was thinking it's possible that might come from the painting, but clearly that didn't. Are there any other sources of dread for me at the moment? No. Are there sources of fascination? Possibly through the Mansis. But remote. Okay, we're good. Although, I want to be careful. Like, I'd like to use Lantern on Connie Lee, but not right away. Is there anything I can talk to people about? I do eventually want to do some commissions, because, again, Bronze Ventrea are handy to have. Fleeting Reminiscence from my Composure. Jennings wants Edge, so that'll give me something to do in the work slot, although again I do need to eventually get some kind of income at some point. The one thing I don't have right now though is a snare, so let's have a chat with Valsine about how traps work. Okay, report from our spy. The shape of the long strategy is coming clear. Ah, damn it. Azim, why are you doing this to me? Oh, Jesus. I also need to heal up. And we will use... So I'll read these first, and then we'll take care of the others. Treasure lies before us. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. This makes me happy. Mastery regained. I'm succeeding. Okay, so I think I know what I'll use the talk for then. Season of Suspicion's coming up. I don't think there's anything I can do about that either, because while admittedly I will have a lot that fall out, I am still generating them from the Long's attacks. And then, excuse me, I'm also going to generate one from the expedition. So in this case, I think it's just better to take my lumps and move on. Okay. Change me harder. Now, my turn. So Azim, really what I want him for is the Frisian speaker. I'm sure there are more creative uses for him, but it's really why I brought him here. In the meantime, though, I think I'm going to use my lesser notoriety. Again, the idea here being let the timer run down on the more dangerous ones. And in this particular case here, it's just going to be a mood piece, so I can make a little bit of money. Silence at last. The public is fickle. Fortunately, they're forgetting us. Adequate snare. Rivals are cautious. They don't prowl the streets like hunters. To defeat one, we must prepare a trap and await our opportunity. Edge, forge, moth, and winter are useful for creating snares. Once created, a snare can be used when an independent makes an attempt on any vault. An abduction. Our enemy is mounting an abduction attempt. Okay. That's unfortunate. After the circus, in the red tent, the madness of paper, the circus folk have pasted a diagram, have pasted diagram-crowded paper. Let me read the text before that. I'm really bad at this. So, in the striped tent, coiling tetralogies behind smeared in murky glass. In the gray tent, dripping fog that nuzzles us like a hunting cat. Fog rank as an animal. In the black and starred tent, wonderful meshes of ori and sculpture spangled with costume gems. In the red tent, the waxen priest and the glass coffin and books clasped to his chest. In the red tent, a madness of paper. The circus folk have pasted diagram-crowded paper to every surface. The anatomies of time, the dissections of old weather. The place stinks of nowhere. We should burn it when we leave. A trestle table holds an unceremonious muddle of trophies and keepsakes. So, erudition for our trouble, notoriety for our trouble. Made in the mirror. Clifton's back. And we got the true and accurate history of the Shadowless Kings, Isaac of Karth's history of the Shadowless Empire. I think I'm going to have to move all this over to translated and untranslated. This is written in Aramaic. Another jumble. Again, I have not been to Oriflammes in ages, so Sunset Passages, a holy text of the Church of the Unconquered Sun, which in many histories was driven underground in Latin. So I have a feeling this one, particularly if it's an advanced book, will probably give me dread. The Ivory Book, a manual of the Order Limea, the Order of Quasi-Immortals, who maintained a secret enclave at the source of the river Limea in the Roman province of Hispania. A writhing call. Lay your hands on these tattered folds and feel their warmth. Leave your hand upon it, and it will explore the possibilities of embrace. And apparently just a casual copy of Gartsai's Sanskrit reader. Okay. It's really tempting to wait to see what's going to happen with the abduction. So I think the way I will handle this, we'll do Voivode's Citadel. So what I'll do here is I will commit the fresh Maid in the Mirror and the hint. Now, in the worst case scenario, I can always use work to make this Maid in the Mirror sort of recharge. But it's also possible I can use them in the rescue effort. So, the Voivode's vault will be hidden well, and if the stories are true, his victims may not rest peacefully in the dark behind the Citadel's walls. I don't think I actually read what this was. So, in the days of the great power of the Turks, a man of power ruled here. For over many years, he fed many thirsts until his own thirst overcame him. I have learned that both his treasures and his victims may remain in an untouched vault below the castle. And here, we'll spend money to make money. So, in about 30 seconds, this will finish, and we'll see. Again, if I don't need to use my... Okay, well, good news is it's just a disciple as well. So the sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. So in the worst case scenario... Interesting. So I can't move this health anymore. So I think that actually pushed us ahead of time instead of anything. Okay, so a manual of the Ordo Lamea, order of quasi-mortals who maintained a secret enclave in the Horse of the River Lamea, in the Roman province of Hispania Galatia, or Gallicia. This manual was compiled by one of Burzgash, who explains that he came to join the Ordo from the city of Messenger Eagles after he abandoned the service of the Ivory Dove. Okay. I think in this case, although I'm trying to remember what I got from my study before. Oh no, it was just the translation. So in this case, we'll read the Encircling Tantra and the Silver Book. And we'll see what happens with the abduction before I commit any more people. So, the Encircling Tantra speaks of the Serpent Gate, that hungry portal sometimes known as the Spider's Door, which is sacred to the Mother of Ants, and through which the great hooded princes pass. Our enemy has immured our follower in a locked room in a guarded house behind invisible walls to keep invisible things at bay. So the Maid in the Mirror is expiring pretty soon. I can't remember what I wanted to do with talk, though. Season of Suspicion. So let me think about the possible... So the possible negative that will come out of this is I have a fascination event that pops up. That's a risk I'm willing to take. So one of the reasons for doing so is she is an idealist, which possibly will push her over the edge. So shares brighter invocations of the glorious Lord. Actually, I'm kind of curious what happens if I use Grail. Nothing. So, the door in the eye navigates, he is not merciful, but first and always he illuminates. Listen and be illuminated. This may tempt the hunter from their path, especially if they are already an idealist, but it will always increase your own fascination. So, this is of course the big danger, right? Because I don't have any way of sort of dumping out that fascination. But again, it may wind up being worth it if I can get rid of Connie, because she's just overall a pretty strong... Just overall, she's a pretty strong character. We've been able to manage her, but that doesn't necessarily mean... If I have an opportunity to get rid of her, you know, so much the better, right? And this fleeting reminiscence will be helpful because we will only need to worry about this for a minute. Okay, so we've got a little money on our pocket. I'm gonna wait the 3 seconds. If this doesn't turn out, then... Okay. Rescue. Our enemy has snatched a follower. They'll try to escape, and we might assist them, but it could be a trap, and this place is warded against summonings. Ah, so I can't. The highest total of Edge, Forge, or Winter will determine whether our followers escaped unscathed. So obviously, adding Eldridge in a moment like this is helpful because Eldridge is the strongest edge, which is going to get added to the already kidnapped individual. So, let's do our old trick with the Maid in the Mirror. It does mean that Azim is currently decaying, but I don't really have any good answers for that. And so Season of Ambition's coming up, which might mean that Douglas causes me problems, but nothing to stop me from going through the Peacock door, so we'll do the Wilding Mirror instead. Okay, so Lantern or Knock, we did bring the hint in, so that's good. And then the Fretful Dead, not all dead rest easy. These ones dislike our intrusion. We can prevail against them with Edge, or they may obey one who comes in the name of Winter. So this will kind of depend on what happens with our Maid in the Mirror. But in this particular case, adding Pope Clifton to the mix will help us with our most immediate threat. Excuse me. And safe for now, the meddler's attention must be elsewhere, a relief. Now, the important thing here is I don't have a lot to fear from notoriety. It just so happens that because the Season of Suspicion was coming up and I knew that I wanted to settle the matter as far as Fascination goes, or as far as Lantern goes, our spy has returned to us. I just kind of wanted to get that dealt with at the time. So the dead circle the very edge of our vision like frayed dreams. The very air around us is chill with winter's shadow. They must recognize that. So I probably won't have the Maid in the Mirror in time. Existential Reality, thank you very much for the follow. I should caution you, I actually finish around this time, so I may not be here for that much longer. But I thank you for the support. Okay, our spy has returned to us. I'm just going to throw them straight back into the long here because they give me important intelligence. The escaped attempt has failed. There may be another opportunity later. Interesting. Okay, so that's the first time that that's failed for me, but it seems like it's not permanent. The Tantra includes an invocation, but cautions helpfully that the invocation is of sufficient power to reach the Serpent Gate from the Hunter's Gate. A road which has no destination is itself a destination, it adds helpfully. So one thing that's actually really helpful here, notice that this doesn't, so we don't actually have the Hunter's Gate as a title, but there are books elsewhere that indicate what the Hunter's Gate is. And this is another great example of how the game will reward you for sort of paying closer attention to what's going on. So Frisian, the great mother's tongue, of course. If you have enough Greek, I guarantee that the experience of learning Frisian will be very pleasant. So my Greek will serve as a foundation. I'll learn everything that I can. So again, it'd be nice to do more knock learning, but so apparently in 290 we'll see something exciting happen. Your account is too much for the hunter. The eyes grow wide and bright. Their smile becomes dreamy. In the days to come, they will forsake everything they once knew. So, like leaks through the cracks, my mind is brighter than it ever was. The higher I rise, the more I see. And just enough time that the fleeting reminiscence will cancel that. And apparently, so this will no longer drive people mad. So, Connie a Renegade. Connie's thinking things over. And so I've got Aspect Disciple, Rival's Ascension, Suspicious, Maverick, Mortal. So, interestingly enough, unlike Douglas, they don't resent me. So it is possible that I may be able to bring Connie on side. But she's not on side yet, so we need to be careful. All right. Who do I want to talk with? Probably nobody at this point. What makes me sad that I'm actually wasting that talk verb. I could get, like, Valsine to repair the cracked Noonstone, but I already have a working one. And I'm going to have her doing other things. Well, crap. Looks like Connie's going to go and try something. So, if I want to summon something very bright and exciting, I can try the Splendor. I wish I ended just before going out here. Ooh, don't take it. Cover your eyes if you like. It will serve no purpose. A 15th order influence. This may be the personal attention of an hour. It can be used in some rites to summon minions. If unused, it becomes fascination. And this is the drawback, right? Is that if I don't... If I'm not careful about this one, this will turn into something I really don't want. Something I really don't want to get. But what is the other possibility? I think probably the Red Church is still the best way to go. I know it's always possible to get Vac. Now, so like there was somebody who I was trying to summon earlier and I didn't quite have enough lantern. The thing is, I don't really get what I need. Like, I don't really need to worry about what I get from that person right now. So I think we will go through the red. Yeah, we'll go to the Red Church. Neat! Okay, so the Vagabonds map would have been nice, but we needed this. So, sorry, I'm just going to write these down. So we haven't actually had any duplicates here yet. But this, I believe, is one of our ingredients for the feast. So, when I visited the Red Church last night, they told me, in between their clawings and their caresses, that the flower maker had visited but lately, with his nectar and his promise. I woke twinned in sodden sheets, with the amaranthine nectar brimming in my hand. I captured what I could of it, only a few drops, but it will be enough. One of the flower maker's many gifts. In a brighter age, it might have bestowed immortality. In this blighted history, it is still an unparalleled sweetness. So I only need one more of these things. I think what we'll do here... I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I can really be doing with talk right now, and it seems to me the answer is no. So we'll have another chat with Valsine about maintenance work. Again, I'm running low on Spintrea. Now we'll take our fascination, we'll get rid of that with the fleeting reminiscence. And the maid in the mirror is back, resummoned. The thing that was a woman has no expression of her own. The movements in her eyes and mouth always match mine, as if I were looking into a mirror. Her fingernails are as sharp as glass. Okay, so Connie's going to be a problem, and I've got a pretty weak snare for her, to be completely honest. But gotta live with it. Anything to do for working? I mean, the Forlorn Blood will make me sick. I think really my only option here is to paint. Well, that actually, no. You know what? I still have enough money, so I should probably be doing more of the... I should be doing more of these commissions, just so I can have a fighting chance of being able to repair that mirror. At least until I get another artifact. The wary dead. The dead draw back, their almost faces flat and watchful. They will not trouble us. I don't think that's the strongest I could have been, to be completely honest. So, Dr. Frankenvinder back with more grave dirt coffee and Nagels. I hope you're doing better. I'm actually still quite sick, Dr. Frankenvinder. I'm probably going to be finishing pretty soon because I'm already later than what I would normally be. But rivalry. Here is another who would ascend before me. Independent occultists will try to monopolize the attention of the hours. They may also conduct other schemes, whether you like it or not. A bold scheme. Trace is left by a rival's decision to move boldly. Rival is considering an expedition. Damn it. Yeah, that is exactly what I was hoping they wouldn't do. Well, we are at the mercy of fate, so... Herodotus tells a wild story of a pharaoh who discovered the Frisian language was the first spoken by humans. He was wrong, of course. It was Vac, but everybody enjoys the story. So we'll throw Azim into the expedition just so we can preserve him. For study, let's go back to the Silver Book. Yeah, no worries, Velkan. I'm probably gonna wrap it up here. The real question is whether or not I want the... I think I'll resolve Connie's little mission, and then we'll finish it off. But thank you very much for hanging out. It's been a pleasure to have you in here, Velkan. So anyways, members of the Ordo took an oath, the Silver Chain, and that forbade men to lie with woman or women with men. For what may come is not always the crime of the sky, yet is a furious danger. It's apparently permissible for men to lie with men and women with women. In fact, Burzgash suggests that they should be encouraged to distract from other temptations. Dreams are coming up, so some winter will help with that. I'll care. And fascination's coming. Okay, this is just purely to preserve the Maid in the Mirror. My lantern work is done. And I think I'm just going to spin that right into an edge commission. I might as well get these things done, and that can free me up for painting if it comes right down to it. And at this point, so I'm going to deal with sickness, so I need to keep Dream available for that, and then I'm also going to have Fascination emerging, so I'm going to need to have somebody deal with that too. And we do have another season of Ambitions, though with my luck, Douglas is gonna snap up another one of my locations. Alright, if I want to go through the Peacock Door, I can. There's the dreaded Fascination. And talking. See, there are things I can get my people to do. The real question is whether or not it's worth it. I think I'm just going to wait on this for a little bit. Okay, so we'll throw the snare in. If I've prepared a snare, I can try to set an ambush for my rival to defeat their expedition or even injure them. I don't think there's any other options for this area. So, and again, this is a pretty weak snare, so I don't expect it to turn out. But we will hope for the best. The manual prescribes potential countermeasures to protect those who might be tempted to go against the oath. Masks, disfigurement, severe poetic disciplines. Those who do break it are to be punished with death, although there are lesser punishments prescribed for various acts that don't involve actual coitus. An invocation is included, which is used to incorporate these punishments into summoning rites. So we've got the Menascate Invocation, level 8 knock. When the moon's face was wounded, these words appeared. Nearly every summoning rite requires knock influence. This lore will provide it. Now, I've never actually tested it, but I think once you get the consent of wounds, you should be able to summon most, if not everything, without worrying about the influence. But obviously, it's kind of nice to have knock influence because it just gives you lots of options as far as your instruments and your lore is concerned. But variety is the spice of life and whatnot. But in this particular case here, I should rearrange things. So I can now add at least a couple of books to the list. Yep. And then the rest of this is basically just going to be sort of translation. I think probably I might as well just do another big batch of translations. I may change my mind later, but we'll wait the 50 seconds and see what happens with Connie, and then we'll carry on. I'm still trying to think if it makes... Damn it! I'm not going to have any expeditions left. Oh, actually, this will probably be too late, but... there's another who to send before me. Looks like it is going to be a scheme that comes up. So what's likely going to happen? It's possible that he's going to pull this out, but I still have Fox Lily Meadows available. But I should hopefully have enough time to make a trap for Douglas. Okay, new manuscript done. And once more with feeling. This time we'll do very substantial on Grail. And we'll turn that all in when we can, but it's just as well that I didn't, because this will hopefully give me a little space as far as dealing with rivals are concerned. This is the drawback. I mean, I kind of should have suspected that Connie would turn into another cultist. I wasn't sure though if it's I actually was not sure if it's possible for the people to go insane or not. So, oh, our snare has succeeded. My rival has fallen into our trap. They'll try to retreat to lick their wounds. I think with a snare too, that's a fairly low probability event, but fair enough. But it looks like Douglas is doing a bold scheme, unless it's already. I guess the fact that Connie was on that already prevented him. That was a really lucky run, though. Alright, my rival has met with misfortune. They have been scarred by their defeat. They will be angry with me. 3 scars of any type will kill any mortal. So much for reconciliation, I suppose. But I'm still in the game. Oh yeah, I guess I said I was going to wrap up after the expedition went through, so I prepared the text for study, the Iron Book. The manual is compiled by one Melari Yevini, who claims to have traveled to join the Ordo from the crossroads at the waters. Okay guys, I know this is going to be finishing with a whimper, not a bang, but I am not getting any more... I'm not getting any less tired, and I am not getting any healthier. So I think I will cut my losses and run. I again apologize for using the console. I always consider it a last resort. I like that it's in there because it means... Like, so the fact of the matter is, the fact that I'm playing this at all is the product of a cheat. Weather Factory gave me a save file which had all 3 Apostle Legacies available to have my choice of whichever one to work with. And if you want, you can modify. It is not that hard to modify your save file to do that. So I didn't like... There has never been some pure cultist simulator experience that has been, being preserved through the playing of, playing of this particular save file. But with that in mind, like I'm not crazy about doing something like, you know, like this. You know, the fact of the matter is it would be nice if I didn't have to manually intervene. I just sort of think there's a certain point where if like my average stream is between 3 to 4 hours and I wind up ending because I'm, you know, distracted or unwell, and I mean, in this particular case, it was a difference of 2 seconds between having to start not just from the beginning of the game, or not just the beginning of an Apostle Legacy, but likely from the beginning of a game. I think probably most of us signed up to see more of the New Game Plus content. Once I do get an ending in New Game Plus, though, I think I'm going to be a little more strict on myself that, you know, if I lose, I lose, because that is really the intent behind this particular bit of DLC. And there's certainly no shortage of legacies for me to try and go for, which of course means there'll be lots of stuff for me to do for future videos. But with that in mind, I do tend to feel rather bad about it. I actually feel worse about using the console than mispronouncing something in the writing, because there seems to be a very unhelpful assumption that if you mispronounce it, you don't know what it means. It actually just means that you haven't heard somebody say it. But cheating means one thing, that you couldn't hack it. But again, it's maybe it bears repeating. Chances are the Apostle Legacies are more appealing to people who like a harder experience anyway. But I think it's safe to say, I mean, I did the tutorial video counter to what I think Weather Factory's intentions were, knowing that there would be some subset of people who would give the game a chance in a way that they wouldn't if they didn't have some video to sort of explain how things work. And I think it's similar with the console, which is you probably shouldn't start off using it. You should actually probably lose a few times, because that unlocks things and it helps you learn the game. But for the purposes of trying to put on a stream for people and being respectful of their time, you know, I also don't need to be a purist about it. So in many cases, cheating in fact means that you are literally hacking it. That's true, actually. And I mean, there's also little things hidden in this game. Like, this game from the very beginning has never had any illusions that people can't go in and change things. There are messages for people in certain parts of the game, so it's part of the experience. I mean, you should play games the way you want to. But yeah, with that in mind, I always feel like I should apologize for it, because I know, like, man, if you look at the comments on the Steam streams, people get really pissy about it, and I'm assuming it's just because it's the same thing as like game journalists, right? So-and-so got to play Cuphead before me, and it looks like they can't play the game very well. So, you know, game journalist sucks. You should never have been allowed to play that, blah, blah, blah. What's really being communicated here? You know, I wanted to play Cuphead, and this person got to play Cuphead, and I'm mad that they didn't play Cuphead as well as I think I would have played Cuphead. You know, similar idea, right? I was given a really wonderful opportunity from Weather Factory to play Cultist Simulator on Steam. I don't take that opportunity for granted. It's why I get a chance to talk to a lot of you, so it's obviously been very good for my channel. But I do not think either of them are under any illusions about my ability to play the game. Like, I do not believe that I was selected for my skill. So it's funny, because it's actually the only videos where I get... The only Cultist Simulator videos where I get negative comments are the ones that are specifically the Steam streams. All the other ones, you people are really, really lovely. So that's at least the best I've been able to account for it. But that was a really terrible way to end the stream. I should not have focused on the negative. But yeah, all of that is to say, I am sorry when I make stupid mistakes. And I have decided that, you know, there are past videos where I lose, and I feel like those were okay ones because that is part of getting to the victory. And on this one, the journey is a little bit longer than others. And I will be completely honest with you. One of the plans that I've had for a YouTube, a more YouTube-centric series, they might still be really long videos. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to pace them out. But I am absolutely considering on doing like a super playthrough of, like, you know, from the very beginning to the, you know, the final ending. This is the full story of this character and their apostle. But maybe I should just worry about finishing a regular apostle game. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. It's a small delight that Cultist Simulator is something that results in a much larger viewership than I am normally accustomed to. So thank you for that. Also, for those of you who did get the game through the Humble Monthly, I do encourage you to stick with it. I will do my best. I've been planning on trying to do some stuff that I've been thinking of doing some stuff that is, you know, kind of focused on this new batch of players that are coming in, but there might be some other details that are emerging semi-soon that might affect that, but we'll see. I've already said too much. One last thing to say, in addition to, if you are interested in this game, do check out weatherfactory.biz or at Alexis Kennedy or at TronBevan on Twitter. And finally, for all of my shoutouts and whatnot, please check out Sean's site, https://seansleblanc.itch.io. Sean is somebody I met through a local game dev collective. He's got a very great sense of showmanship. It is always a delight to see his stuff. I went to the Global Game Jam. Unfortunately, I showed up late, so I didn't finish the game, although I've been meaning to set aside, I think I have like 12 hours banked that I wasn't there. I've actually intended to finish the game, and I've got pulled away with a bunch of other things. But I've now been able to see not just the product of his work when you know, when there's been like a month interval. I have had a chance to see what he does with a team of people at the Global Game Jam. There's a lot of fun stuff inside there, and number one, I just happen to like, you know, pointing people towards interesting and fun projects from people that I know. But it is also worth remembering that once upon a time, like when I first engaged with Cultist Simulator, it was a very primitive alpha on itch before there was a Kickstarter. You know, that's how I got into this game. And so the way that you find stuff like this, you know, obviously this game wound up being a lot bigger, so that, you know, that was fairly easy. A lot of people are going to find out about this game because of the Humble Monthly and whatnot. But this is also one of these games that prompted a lot of people to say, it's like, where do you find such interesting games? And it's like, well, I mean, I find them because people make interesting games, and, you know, if you get a chance to look for them or take the opportunity to, you know, to go on a recommendation or that, there's lots of very interesting and creative stuff. So I don't want to make too big of a deal out of it, because I know if I go on too long on some shoutouts, it becomes a disincentive to hang out. I don't want to do that either. You'll notice Johnny didn't come in today. But yeah, I do encourage you to check out Sean's site, as well as, incidentally, Sean, if you can think of anybody else you want to shout out, feel free to drop those in chat. There was one other link I was meaning to give out, and I've lost it. Yes, the Kickstarter. So it's really hard to get people excited about projects like this, but this is something that Alexis has tweeted out as well. I played this a couple of weeks ago, and I still encourage you to check it out. I'm not going to pretend... Oh, actually, a bunch of money just came in for this, so Look, I'm not going to pretend that this thing is really close to being funded. This is under Stranger Stars. You know, I was really interested in this. I would like to see more games like this. I actually think, you know, it's not that there aren't funny games out there. I just think that there could be more games with a sense of humor. And you know, the prototype was a little rough around the edges, but nothing that I didn't, you know, I was engaged enough with the early experience that I am rather invested in seeing this thing getting made. I've already upgraded my pledge. It's clearly not going to be enough to push it over the edge here. There's 38 hours to go. I've got it in Canadian here, so 10,775 out of a $27,365 goal. So, I mean, realistically, they have a few days, or less than 2 days, to get this thing, you know, more than 50% of the funding. But they haven't canceled the project. And I mean, again, if, you know, there are games that have had larger amounts that have been funded in one day. You never know what can happen. If you are interested in this game, I encourage you to back it. If you are interested in seeing me play this game, I at least encourage you to share that link. Obviously, we benefit if there are more games, because you can always just simply pass them over if they don't appeal to you. I'm sure anybody who's really worried about visibility on Steam is now screaming at me for saying that, but I am still an economist, so I think variety is good. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't want to pretend that, you know, some miracle is going to happen and this thing is very likely going to be put through, but, you know, I would encourage you to show support if this is something you want to see, whether that support comes in the form of a tweet, Facebook post, or actual money. It would definitely mean quite a bit to me, and I'm sure it would mean a lot to the developers if there was that final push. I would much rather have this thing not succeed after having a genuine effort to, you know, get out to its audience and it just not being able to make it, than this thing not succeed simply because an audience that otherwise would have enjoyed the game simply was unaware of it. So at this point, there's no more excuses. And I have trespassed on all of your time. Like I said, I am not getting any healthier. I am not getting any more coherent. And we obviously had a wonderful streamer stop by earlier, Kilgore Trout. It has been a while since I've hosted him. He's actually not playing The Witness tonight, so I'd love it if you'd come along with me to visit Kilgore Trout's channel. He is playing Gunman Chronicles, which I have never heard of, but I'm sure he will do a fantastic job of selling it to me. So do check him out, please. You can let him know that you came from here if you happen to like participating in raids. If not, no big deal. And I would normally say at this point, you know, Friday is my free day. I'll figure out what I'm going to stream then. But it might possibly be a day that I just, you know, crawl under the blankets and hope to God that I stop feeling so terrible. So yeah, I obviously apologize for not being 100% tonight, but I figured any Cultist Simulator is better than no Cultist Simulator. And you can let me know with a downvote of disapproval or an angry comment telling me that I'm incompetent, or, you know, I should have gotten my vaccinations or whatever. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking. Please be nice to Kilgore, because I won't be. Have a lovely evening, everybody. Thank you very much for watching.